Hi, Divine Sister and Brother. It's Lena Divine with another astrology prediction. I hope that you're doing really well whenever you're coming across this reading. And I hope that whenever you're watching this, you're sailing smoothly through the waters that we are experiencing collectively as well as individually over the next 20 years. So Pluto is entering the sign of Aquarius on the 23rd of March of 2023, which is when I'm doing this video. And it'll be in the sign of Pluto until 2044, when it officially enters the sign of Pisces, and it's going to stay there. In between then, Pluto will be moving in and out, doing a couple of retrogrades back into Capricorn, and then as it enters Pisces, it'll retrograde into Aquarius before it officially stations in the sign of Pisces in 2044. So I'm going to take you on a journey into the future, okay, where I will be giving you my take on what I'm expecting to play out over the next 20 years. At the time of doing this video, I'm not an official astrologer. I'm not a trained astrologer. I haven't gone to school for astrology, but I have been very deep into astrology for 10 years now. I have also been very much plugged into the alternative forms of news and media, and I have been well aware of what's been going on here on the planet. I'm someone who has always been into occult knowledge, so a lot of the information that I'm going to bring to you is based off of my own studies, my own research, things that I have been tapped into for years. I'm going to be marrying that in with the astrology and explaining how it all, works hand in hand and how we can see this play out. On this journey that we're going to go through, you will hear me speak about higher timelines and lower timelines. I'm going to be explaining some negative things and some things that are more positive. And that's something that's very in line with what we're going to be experiencing collectively moving forward. Almost like two worlds simultaneously playing out and existing. If you're someone that's coming across this video who has no background in astrology, no prior knowledge, I want you to keep an open mind and to follow what I'm saying as I paint a picture for you of what we can expect to see moving forward. So this goes beyond astrology. For me, astrology, the stars, the cosmos are almost like a mirror, right? They're a mirror in the sky that allow us to have some sort of foresight, okay, in life. It gives us an advantage when we learn it, when we become the masters of it, instead of astrology becoming the masters of us. A lot of the world controllers have information and knowledge on the cosmos and astrology, and a lot of the controllers have had this knowledge and information for thousands and thousands of years, and through this art and knowledge and wisdom, they have been able to program, to control, and to create. Okay, well, even though we're the ones that are the creators, they use us to predictively program us to create the timelines that they want, okay, to carry out their agendas. However, right, astrology is like this predictive thing in itself. And whether you're someone who believes that it's divine or someone who believes that it's part of the simulation, that is going to be an individual belief or opinion. But I want you guys to keep an open mind, the same way that I am, and that I have kept an open mind throughout my entire life when it comes to seeking deeper truth, seeking the deeper meaning of this life, this experience here on Earth, on planet Earth, okay, on this plane of existence, and that we're finding ourselves in, okay, here on the third dimension, or in this, first density that we're in. So welcome, starseeds, welcome, chosen ones who identify with Ascension, anyone who believes in Ascension, anyone who has any inkling or idea or sense of, what we're going through on some level, or if you feel like something's not right and you want more information and you want to make sense of it all, this video is for you. This video is going to support you, whether it's sowing seeds, okay, which will then be watered later on by yourself, by someone else, or by simply adding to what you already know and kind of supporting you and gaining some clarity here. So let's kind of talk about the astrology a bit. Pluto in itself, right? Before I get into everything else, okay? Pluto in itself is very much about, the occult, okay? It has to do with death and rebirth, okay? And it's a very nice planet. I like it a lot because even though it's seen as the planet of destruction, it's also the planet of rebirth, right? It's about taking down what's no longer serving or what's out of alignment to rebuild. Similar to the Pisces energy, which is a spiritual death and rebirth, this one is also spiritual because Pisces and Scorpio have to do with the water element, except that Pluto gives you more of a darker feel. It has a sense of power and control, which is very much a theme that we've experienced in the Matrix, right? It's a power over other control type of, system that has been put in place to keep humanity oppressed and suppressed, okay? And basically to keep humanity in the darkness, right? Pluto has to do with darkness, Scorpio has to do with the darkness as well, Pisces is the illusion. And so in this video, you're also going to hear me speak a lot about Saturn, because I think Saturn is going to be our not our leader, because that sounds really strange, but now that it comes out that way, Saturn, okay, if you guys know what Saturn is connected to or linked to, like the etymology and the symbolism, and in astrology, I mean, and in tarot, it's, the devil. In astrology, it's seen as this karmic planet, right? The planet of karma. And then when we think about the third dimension, we think of it as a big karmic web that we've all been trapped in and that we are freeing ourselves from, essentially. However, karma, that all the darkness and the karma is not a bad thing, right? It's about being non-judgy judges of this experience, meaning we're able to determine as sovereign beings the difference between evil and light, right? And it's about coming to a space where we are not becoming the darkness ourselves in that process of identifying and waking up to the truth, because that, again, is part of the simulation. It's part of that polarization. So when you learn to become the observer, okay, and learn to pull back and detach even from those feelings of outrage and being infuriated and feeling betrayed and everything's a lie, which is what a lot of people go through, it's still creating this loosh. It's still creating this energy for the dark entities or beings to feed off of. Okay, so I'm really putting this out there for you. I'm kind of just letting you have it, you guys. This is my nature. This is who I am. And you know what, guys? It's game time. It's not even game time. It's like it's been time, but it's like it's time now. The time is now. So there's no point in sugarcoating. There's no point in living in a fantasy world or in a bubble. Okay. When we talk about New Earth, when we talk about Ascension, these are all very beautiful, real things. But before we get to that, we have to wake up. And so in the process of waking up, we go through the darkness. And so some of you will have already gone through that and you're just ready for this. And others of you are like just starting to wake up. If you're someone who doesn't resonate, if you're someone who's not ready, just click off. Like that's really kind of what I'm feeling called to say. But again, like I said, keep an open mind, because some of this will resonate, some of it may not, but you're meant to hear it, right? So now that we've gotten that out of the way, Pluto also deals with, this death energy of like physical death. It deals with health as well. Pisces is health and medical systems. But when we think about Pluto, Pluto is also dis-ease. Pluto is dis-ease. Pluto can be seen as this, well, the archetype, right, can be seen as this, like, it's also, to me, it's spiritual affliction. Both Pisces and Scorpio to me have to do with spiritual affliction. But when we look at it, it's like control through, obviously there's spiritual warfare, and a lot of us know this, but it's also control through fake created stuff, right? Through created things that are meant to bring fear to the collective as it pertains to health. And we already have had glimpses of this. We've seen what we're kind of going to be moving into, which is this: how do we control the masses and those who are still asleep through fear when it comes to health, when it comes to threats? This is a warring energy, right? Pluto is that warring energy. Mars is the original ruler of Scorpio, or the traditional ruler, whatever you want to call it. And so it is an energy of, spiritual warfare. To me, though, Pluto is beautiful because it has to do with, especially for my light warriors, my light workers, it has to do with casting out the darkness once and for all, clearing out the demons, clearing out the lower timelines so that we can ascend. So that's what's beautiful about this time period that we're entering. And I'm going to speak about it. But I want to give you the basics, give you the foundational understanding of what this means, so that when we move forward, you're following what I'm getting at. So Scorpio as well, deals with a lot of occult practices. It has to do with sex. There are going to be themes playing out, okay. And I'm going to talk more about that in just a moment. Let's talk about Aquarius, right? So this is the collective energy. This is technology. This is community, humanity, right? This is this is our time. It's us coming together versus being split apart, but the separation has been done for years, right? For thousands of years, throughout all of his story, okay? Whether you have deprogrammed yourself, whether you've done your own research, whether you believe what you learned in history class, that's going to be different for everyone. But what is the same is this idea of separation as a human race, where there have been divisions, right? Whether it's through borders, whether it's through religion, whether it's through culture, whether it's through, fake rulership, essentially, right? Kings and queens and all these actors, okay, that have existed in his story, which is okay. And so with this awakening and realizing the truth, okay, and that, it is really a simulation, and it is all been fabricated, but this is not the video nor the place where we're going to get into all of that. If you guys are interested in more of my research, the work that I've done, and what I, believe, okay, and sometimes don't really believe or don't know but have explored, then I invite you to subscribe to stay connected to me, okay, to Lena Divine, right? Where we can explore more of that. But I want to also keep this light. I want to keep it light for people, because not everyone is ready to handle that, to take that in, and some people don't want to and will not, okay, in this lifetime, and that's okay. So we're going to also talk about that in this video. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, Pluto in Aquarius, it's going to bring up these overarching themes of, okay, power over the people or power for the people, right? We already experienced power over the people. Now it's time for us to take our power back. So what Pluto in Aquarius will do is that it's going to bring a lot out to the surface for us to address as individuals, as a collective. So, a lot of, agendas will be revealed, okay? A lot of the darker, more sinister things are going to continue to be revealed. There is a big push, right? We have two different timelines playing out, okay? You have the Ascension timeline, which is the timeline of awakening, of connecting with source and elevating your consciousness, which in essence, right, Pluto does deal with that mental plane, with that energy. It's that Uranian energy. And this Pluto in Aquarius energy is all about innovation. It's all about the future, right? Okay, creating future now moments as a collective, as a society. But this is where it gets not tricky, but confusing for some people, right? Because on one hand, you have the higher timeline, which is leading us towards abundance, prosperity, right? The age of Aquarius, what we've been promised, what we've been told, what's been prophesized and what's been rumored in many communities and sectors and spaces in regards to, you know, new earth, to ascension, to all of these things, versus the other side of that, which has also been rumored, which has also been, you know, is being manifested in some other realm. Okay. And I say in some other realm because I'm speaking to myself and in particular, and we have to constantly affirm what side we're on, especially as you awaken more to what's really going on. If you don't know what's going on, you can't choose. Like you can't consciously choose because you're not aware that you're falling into the trap, okay, into the darkness, which is essentially what is taking place at this time, okay? Because the same way we are ascending, there's also descension. You can see it that way on some level for other beings. And if you're someone who thinks that, you know, we're the only ones, that there nothing else exists, if you're someone who is still programmed to believe that there's nothing else out there, okay, or in here, okay, more so in here, then that is something that, you know, I invite you to explore, I invite you to look into, because it's going to help you make more sense of it all. I am trying to ground, and I want to keep this very focused on the astrology, but at the same time, I want to just like give you all the information, right? So I'm going to hold back. But if there are things that you're confused, if there are things that you want more questions on or answers on, I invite you to stay connected with me so that I can, you know, tap you in to not just myself, but many, okay, a plethora of people, of information, of, you know, fellow light warriors that have been doing the work and, you know, digging deeper and going within, okay, to unearth these things. And so part of this collective split, you could say, is due to the fact that there are some beings, okay, that are of the darkness, and there are some beings that are of the light. And so those beings that are of the light are here to build and rebuild and heal, okay, and to liberate themselves from the systems that have been in place. Okay, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, I feel like none of this is going to make sense, and it's okay. I'm just going to pretend you already know and speak to those who are meant to hear this. Okay. So now that we've cleared that out, because I did feel some resistance here, let's see. Basically, there's this energy of, okay, we have these AI leaders, basically, these AI minds that are creating, right? Not only is that simulation created, the systems, the monetary systems, the financial systems, but we also have these basically like puppets and actors that are placed, okay, to regurgitate and to spew out these scripts. And these scripts are what you see on your screen and what you believe to be reality, right? If you're someone who still believes that. And so that timeline is the one where they easily reel people in, okay, reel people in to their simulation, okay? And through this fabrication that has been created for so long, they're able to pull stunts and to have the masses, right, believe and follow because they're not awakened. Their third eye is shut down. They have not connected with source. And if they have, they're just still going through a process, okay, of finding truth, right? Of the truth within self, okay? Beyond this. Also, it takes years of study and growth, like, you know, research, and it's a lot. So we're at no point are we expecting everyone to be like an expert on anything or Are you expected to know everything? No one really, knows everything. We might think we do, but if you're a human being, there's still things that haven't been fully revealed to us. Even those that have sold themselves, even those that are working, okay, for the dark ones and that have been paid, great amounts of money and promised all these things that we look at and we think, oh, I want that too, or how nice would it be? It's all a facade, right? It's all fake. It's not real. I don't mean like, oh, the ego. No. I mean, what you're seeing is not real. You understand? Like it's a whole production, okay, team that works behind keeping these things going. Okay. But again, that's like more out there. So basically with these systems, I'm trying to like stick to the meat and potatoes here. You have this, we know what's going on here with, moving towards more artificial intelligence, working with technology. All of these things are very Uranian. They're very Aquarian. With Pluto, we're going to be seeing a rebirth of sorts. Now, whether you're seeing a reset, okay, on some level of certain things. Okay, so this is what I personally believe, okay? And I'm just going to give it to you straight like this. There's going to be a reset, okay? They've been planning a reset for a long time. But who is they? And that's the part that a lot of people get confused on, because there are dark forces and there are light forces. And this is where this is what to me is like the saving grace. Is it's not about, like, you can watch all these things on okay, Spear, okay, a C, right? All day, all night. But it does not change the fact that you are a creator being, and that even if there are certain beings with agendas and certain things that are trying to be played out, that you're the way that those things play out. So the more of us wake up to that truth of knowing that we are the creators, not them, then you can put an end to that. Okay, at this point, I feel like I just want to speak truth. I don't even want to like talk about the astrology, but I'm going to stick to the astrology, guys. And I'm going to give you predictions. But it's important to say all this for those of you who are following or who are resonating, because I'm not here to be like mainstream. I'm not here to like, as much as, so with the tarot readings on Lena's Divine Tarot, there is a sense of me needing to keep it mainstream for those who, whatever. And it's about helping and, helping and supporting, right? Whereas this video is like, this is what's happening. This is what it is. Take it or leave it. You don't have to believe what I believe. This is my opinion. This is my research. These are my things that I have spent my whole life since the age of 14 looking into. Okay, I'm going to start off with this just to, give you like some sort of confirmation. And I found this really interesting, right? So and the reason Saturn is so important, I'm going to talk about this in just a moment, is because Saturn moves in like smaller increments. And Saturn has to do with like Satan and the devil and all these things, right? These concepts of darkness. It's how we learn our lessons. It's how we go through spiritual growth and transformation. And Pluto is precisely that. But Pluto is going to cover the more collective experience and the longer term shifts that are happening in the world, versus Saturn, which really deals with the more intermediate energy. The thing is that within the Pluto transit, Saturn is going to be kind of setting the course here, and the one who's going to be creating all this this thing in life that is basically this like karmic. I call it karmic deliverance, guys, because that's really what life is, right? Life here is cause and effect, right? And so you reap what you sow, what you put out, you get back. So if as a collective, what we've put out is dumbness, okay, like asleepness, allowing, right, free will, we've allowed these things to happen collectively. And so, waking up to that is part of waking up, right? And that's when you take your power back and you realize, I do not, I do not consent. I do not support. I will not allow this anymore. And so the more of us wake up, this is how we have won. Okay. This is how we have won, because we are waking up. Again, you are the battery pack that generates this creation. You were made in the image of God, and the darkness knows this. So the darkness feeds off of you, of us, okay? When we aren't aware, and even when we are aware, you know, we have to protect and anchor and align, right? To clear out, okay, what isn't serving. So guys, yes, okay, Miss Woo Woo, I love it. So, oh my God, I just heard something that's funny. Yeah, I heard Wendy Wu from Disney Channel, Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior. That's kind of how it is, right? We're out here like slaying these dragons, these demons, although dragons can be good too. So I don't really like that figure of speech. But basically what I wanted to say was Saturn, okay, when this is something really interesting, you guys. So okay, in 2001, guys, you guys remember what happened, right? Saturn was in Gemini when that happened. Okay. That was an air sign. And we know what happened. And it's interesting how what happened with the, okay, as Ireland Clark would say, the Kit Kat bars, okay. You know, to the blank tower, okay. And that was in the sign of Gemini, which is the twins. Like, is that a coincidence? No, it's not. Is it a synchronicity? Yes, it is. Okay. If you're someone who doesn't know about that stuff, and you feel called to, just look into it, do some research, and you know, you'll go down that rabbit hole. You know, I'm not really inviting anyone to go down the rabbit hole, but if you are and you have and you did already, great. Again, that stuff is like if you're still there, guys, whoever is watching this, if you're still at that level where you're learning about these things, you're waking up, you've gone down the rabbit hole, and now you believe, okay, like the blank has done this, or the so-and-so group, and there's this group and that group, which I'm not going to mention in this video. I want you guys to know that there's more beyond that. There's another level within the rabbit hole, okay, to tap into that allows you to like realize that all of that may be true, but there's a higher truth, and that's you. Okay, basically. So I just wanted to put that out there. But then in 2009, Saturn was in Libra. Okay, and that's when we saw like the market crash, and that's when we experienced that. Another air sign, and now Saturn was in Aquarius, and this is when we experience what we experience, another psyop. Okay, so these psychological operations that happen are part of the control mechanisms, right? To instill fear, to create energy, to, you know, charge the grid, but then also to have our subconscious collective reality simulate what we've been told through a what? External source, basically. A television, a radio, whatever, what we've been implanted with. So that's something that's important to think about, because we've already experienced this, guys, right? We just went through this. Saturn's now in Pisces, okay? And, you know, it's like, you know, thinking of Pluto and Capricorn, it's like Capricorn is very much the devil energy, right? It's, well, I'm not saying Capricorns or anything like that. What I mean is the archetype. And in tarot, the devil card and all of that. Okay, Saturn. It's the darkness aspect when it's out of balance, right? The darkness has I believe the darkness has a balance aspect as well. So that can be very beautiful. But it has to do with the patriarchy. It has to do with it has also to do with the financial systems that we've had. So basically, like, Pluto's making its exit and it's moved into Aquarius, right? Now it's the time where we're going to experience these shifts, financial shifts, where we're going to see new systems, new monetary systems. These things have been planned by groups and beings that have been trying to facilitate these things for quite some time. You know, a lot of you may have heard rumors for some time. Like me personally, when I was 14, is when I first learned about 2020 and what was going to happen. So that was that was like around this, what I said, right? 2019. Okay. I mean, 2009, around that time, like, wait, I'm trying to think how old I was. Yeah, that's when I had my awakening, right? Saturn in Libra. Interesting. I didn't even notice that. So that's something interesting. I remember being in first grade when I remember being in Manhattan in school when it all happened. Anyway, but basically, these are the things that are not, these are the things in our lives that if we start paying attention to, we're like, wow, like this stuff is all connected. Like this stuff, you can't make this stuff up, right? So that's when we kind of heard about all this, guys. A lot of us or people knew what was coming, but we didn't have the details. For me personally, I just knew 2020, 2020, 2020, 2020 was the thing. We also have other dates, and I'll be talking about this. So I'm putting this out there before I get more into it because I want you guys to realize that it's not just astrology. It's not just, it's all connected, right? It's understanding how these things work so that we can take our power back. That's my goal here. It's not to like sound like, oh, I know all these things, or like, oh, this is the truth and blah blah blah. And like I don't really care how it sounds. You take it as you will. And for those of you who think I talk too much, and for anyone who feels like I'm rambling, yes, welcome. Okay. So let's keep going. Okay. And so that's something to note right there, right? With the Saturn energies in Gemini, okay, and in Libra, and then Aquarius, right? So air energy, we've experienced this. So, I guess why I brought that up too was because none of these things are just coincidences. These things are all pre-planned, predetermined. And if you already know that, awesome. And if you don't, now you do. I wanted to be like, how can we link what we already know is coming with astrology? So this is more so for like those of you who already have these, like who are kind of plugged in or whatever. So if we look at certain agendas and things that are playing out, regardless of the agenda. So I guess I just have to talk about each one, right? So we have we have like the medical warfare, which has been a thing for so long. We have these systems that have been in place where it's about, the sickness. It's about the sick care. It's not about healthcare. It's about keeping certain people suppressed and things like this, right? Keeping certain people in this loop, okay, in a state of dis-ease. Again, this is something that if you don't believe in or don't know about, it is what it is. Then we have the financial system, which is the fiat system, which is built on, fake energy. It doesn't have any value. It doesn't have any backing. It's just made up. It's phony money. Okay. It's phony money that goes back into a phony system to feed, the beast or whatever. It's like, however you want to put it. It's beyond the world that it's beyond this banking and central bank and the financial systems that we all partake in, because like I've partaken in it, like I've done things, I've made money, we all do, right? We pay taxes, but it doesn't mean okay that it's not a farce. It doesn't mean that it's not a total control mechanism. And so as you wake up to this, you realize this, and it's not about, oh my God, it's a sham, like I must fight against it and like not partake. I think that happens a lot of times where we kind of want to rebel and we want to, like some people, and it happens. I went through that phase where I wanted out, and I thought that meant I had to free myself financially, like from the system, meaning not make money in the system, not do this, not do that. And I thought that I had to like remove myself entirely at one point for like 2 years when I was like in my early 20s, when I first started waking up, because you think, oh, it's the devil, or oh, it's this, oh, it's that, or this is how they're keeping me stuck. But then at some point you realize that the system's going to still be up for some time, but that was then. And so what's beautiful now is like we're moving towards this energy of the new. And that's what Pluto in Aquarius is going to do. But the thing is, with Pluto in Aquarius, we're seeing these big tech companies, which is another agenda. Okay, that is to control, right? So there's a lot of things going on right now with, these fake wars and these fake things. And there are certain people trying to little groups, okay, like the small group, not us, not the big humanity, right? The little 1%, whatever, is doing things like, controlling more, wanting to control the food supply, wanting to control the land, okay, ownership, banking even more. So these are all things that a lot of you have already heard of. These are all things that, if you haven't heard of these things, I think you need to turn off the TV and start doing more research, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you are just starting to, like, that's what's beautiful. Like, this is a time period of awakening, guys. If you haven't checked out my Saturn and Pisces video, I would check it out. But it's a time of awakening more and more to these things. So some of you, if you're new to whatever is coming out of my mouth, you're like, oh my God, what is she saying? Blasphemy. It's like, because that's part of the process. And but some people won't, and that's okay. Those are the people that I'm going to talk about as well. Okay, what's coming for you, honey? No, I'm kidding. And it's not even like wishing it never. Of course not. It's love and light always. But with that higher level of consciousness comes this ability to detach and to not take it too seriously, and to realize that, it really is, it is a game. Okay. And learning how to play that game is part of how you make it through. We touched on that. Okay, so I did throw a few things out there, right? So we've seen this, we've seen what it's been leading to. Like, I want you guys to also realize we're talking higher level. Like, I don't want to use this because it sounds so played out, and I know there's people, but this is a high level conversation, okay? And these are higher level conversations. So on a lower level, we want to make money, we want to get into real estate, we want to get into crypto, we want to secure the bag, in a 3D sense. But then you have the 5D, okay, which is very much about liberating yourself on a spiritual level. And even though you may want these things, you are very much also detached from them, because you know that none of that really matters. And you know that there's more, and you know that there is an existence, right, beyond. But the thing that happens in the spiritual community, and these things are all relevant, like whoever's tuning in, these things are very much relevant to the astrology. The topics I'm speaking of right now have to do with the astrology. These are things that are coming out more and more, things that we're all going to be talking about, okay, and that we're going to be exploring collectively. But we're going to talk about things like censorship. We're going to talk about things like the control mechanisms that they're trying to push. And then we're also going to talk about how the other side, okay, the Ascension timeline, how we're all basically dismantling that and not allowing it, okay? And so it is. And so and how you can also support and join in on the higher timeline. And I'm going to give you all the tools you need and how to make this happen, you guys. This is, I just wanted to do astrology prediction as a way to like explain it in a way that like makes sense and that gives it some sort of like logical explanation, because a lot of times people want to understand everything with a very like, but why, or give me the reason. And sometimes when you tell people things that they don't have proof of, it's not enough. So when we tie in astrology, which is something that a lot of people is more mainstream, right? Which says a lot, by the way. I want to sow the seed to those of you who are really awakened and are really into astrology. If astrology is mainstream now and you think it's not, but it's not censored, so what does that tell you? I want you guys to look into that, which is something I've been looking into. But yet here we are. Okay, so, and again, like, it's about levels. There are different levels and we can play on them. So when you have someone who's on the spiritual path, when you have a god and a goddess and someone who's awakened, a fellow divine sister and brother that's out here going into lower levels and able to talk about the financial markets, able to still have goals and dreams, you don't look at them like they're not as awakened as you because you decided that you don't want anything to do with the money and that you're not into material and that you're high and mighty because you're detached from it all and you're like on this spiritual journey, right? I went through that. I was the person who was meditating 20 minutes a day at least, fruitarian. I actually was breatharian for like 3 months. Okay, like with very minimal fruit intake. I was doing it. I was that person who was like, into it all, and like even certain vocabulary that I lost, like terminology that I can't use now because I'm not plugged in. It feels like a whole lifetime ago. It was 7 years ago. I thought that I was on my most highest path, and I was because at the time, that was what I needed to experience. I needed to ascend. I needed to leave this reality. I needed to go into 5D. I needed to connect with source intimately. I needed to connect with all of you intimately without knowing any of you. I needed to go into the oneness, not the singularity. That's something we're going to talk about because Pluto in Aquarius is bringing a lot of that stuff in. We're going to talk about advanced technologies. We're going to talk about dark technologies and outdated technologies as well. And we're going to try to really get a lot in this video. So it is going to be quite long, but it's okay. So I want those of you who are like, okay, for me personally, right? What happened was I felt like, okay, I'm on this path. I'm creating the higher timelines. I'm focused on doing collective work because at that time it was all about the collective. Like none of it was about me. All my intentions, all my ritual, everything was for the collective. And I swear to you that at that time, whatever timeline I was on before, and that maybe some of you were on, it was a timeline where shit was supposed to go down. And this was before 2020. And I knew this because my spiritual guidance, the intel I was getting from online, all the people that I was connected to, we knew that it was about to go down, meaning the doomsday crap. Okay, that didn't happen because we cleared it out, guys. We cleared it out. The Lightwarriors, all of us who held space. So I remember going from that lower timeline to the higher timeline. You know, and even though we still can perceive the lower stuff and we see it outside of ourselves, it doesn't mean that we're in it anymore. Okay, especially for those of you who have been doing the work. So, like, what I mean by this is the TV, like things were about to go down, guys. And I remember I was so like far removed from it, but I remember anchoring in the higher codes, anchoring in the frequencies, like being in Manhattan, like going, you know, just super, super light. Like I was so light body. It was insane. I think a lot of people weren't even seeing me. They weren't perceiving me because I was vibrating on a different frequency. I was in a higher dimension. And so I still had my body. So I was really anchoring in. Long story short, I was able to support the collective and we did a lot of work to clear out that, okay, and to get a different outcome, okay, than what they wanted. They wanted something to happen that didn't happen. I'm not going to talk about it because there's no point, right? It's been cleared out. And I don't think I'll ever mention that through my mouth, you know? And so that for me was like a wow moment. But then I think what happened was that I had an aha moment where Source was saying, you know, have to, wow, I just saw my life path number. Oh my God. Source just was saying like, you know, you have to step up, okay, in a physical way. And so that's when I realized that it wasn't, because at the same time that I was doing collective work, I was also really focusing on ascending. And for me, I really got to a point where I felt like I could ascend in this body, in this life without the like, you know, my own little ascension where I could like blast off and leave. And I was so close to that. Like I felt it. Like I didn't have to be in the mountains, you know, like I was going in, you guys. Like I really experienced this. If any other star seeds did too, any light workers, you've gone that far, let me know. But I had to shift down, guys. I had to come out of that. I had to come back into the third dimension. I felt like there was a lot of work to do. Like Source said, I didn't send you here. You didn't incarnate just to leave everyone else. It's not about you. You have to, like, I felt like Source told me, like, you're good. You entered the kingdom. You know, you've made it. You activated yourself. But now it's time to go down and fight. And so the Catalina back then to Lena now, like back then, like I was so different. Like I was like divine feminine, like everything for me was divine feminine. I was like in my divine feminine at the time. I was with my divine masculine. So, you know, shout out to my divine masculine. I love him so much. My little light warrior, but you know. But we all have our own journeys. And not everyone's meant to come into everything at once, you guys. Which a lot of you know. Guys, so now that my makeup kind of has been messed up because of the beautiful tears that I shed, because you know it's nice to cry sometimes and it's all about the healing, so allow it when it happens, you guys. But I just wanted to say this too, like this is a time period of reunion, right? A lot of twin flames are going to be coming together more and more because it is about moving into this beautiful age of Aquarius that we're in. But I feel like Pluto in Aquarius is the start of that. And even though I feel like Pluto in Aquarius is really it's the beginning of the end, or it's the end, right? This is the end. That's just what it is, right? Saturn is the end. Pluto in Aquarius to me, Pisces, excuse me, is the end of the zodiac. And this is why I feel like Saturn is setting the tone. Okay, let's talk about the astrology. Let's talk about the astrology. Okay, so maybe I'll go on a rant in a moment. Anyway, if you guys resonate with me and my rants, definitely subscribe to Lena Divine, the channel, guys. I would love to have you on there. So basically, Saturn in Pisces is bringing the karma to an end, right? It's a time for many of us, chosen ones, Lightworkers, Starseeds, and anyone who is meant to wake up, anyone in humanity that's meant to continue onto this higher timeline, okay? If you're listening to this, you're meant to go onto this higher timeline. If you have been spiritual questing, if you want to see humanity thriving and everyone living in oneness and abundance and happiness and joy, then this is for you. If you're someone who doesn't really care about those things, if you're someone who kind of just cares about themselves and things like this, well, I feel like this video is for everyone because I'm going to talk about both timelines. So I'm going to share a little bit with you about what you can both expect, okay, both groups. So what we have with the Saturn and Pisces energy as we move into Pluto, Pluto enters Aquarius, is an energy where the truth is being revealed, okay? Like this video, the truth is being revealed, and we're going through that spiritual death once and for all, okay? Those who do not, okay, and I want to say this too, some people are going to be waking up to certain truth, and they're going to be still choosing the lower timeline, okay? What makes the lower timeline lower? Some of you are wondering, what makes the lower timeline low? Why are you talking about it like one's better than the other? Well, because one has to do with love and unity and abundance and the light and moving towards like more like, so what you can think of as heaven. It's about your soul freeing itself from the darkness, whether you're someone who believes that this is hell. Okay, if you're someone who believes that, I do invite you to do some work, like to continue healing and to shift your perception, because everything really is perception. But it is a land or a place or a realm, or, well, more so, it's not even the realm itself. I do feel like it's more so of the matrix, right? Where these things play out for us to experience so that our souls can grow and whatever. And whether you believe that source itself has created all this and is at the end and behind the scenes of both of these polarities of good and evil, then that's amazing. That's an even higher level of thinking, of being able to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. If you're someone who's more so in the polarity, that's okay, right? It doesn't matter as long as you know like where you stand. Okay, so that's nice. Now, we all have an ego, but certain people are very ego driven, and certain beings don't have a soul. Soul is what connects you to source, right? To light. And many beings don't have light, they have darkness. And they need to feed off of other entities and beings that have souls and that have light, okay? And we're not the only beings in this creation, right? So again, do your research. So I'm not here to tell you and to teach you everything in this video and to then have you be like, oh my God, she's a guru. No, that's not it. I'm by no means am I a guru. I'm just a sister. I'm just a divine sister. Well, I'm more than a divine sister, but I am a divine sister that's here to support you on your journey, okay? Of awakening, of freeing yourself, okay, from the lies. So, and we're going to talk more about the agendas in just a moment, because that's very Pluto in Aquarius. Well, it's like a continuation, right? This has been going on for thousands of years. So when we think of Pluto in Aquarius, this is happening. And then you think about, wow, they're working with the astrology. They know what energies are in the air and what's going to be supporting them. So it's like, how can we also empower ourselves to know what's in the air and to call in what we want and to not consent and say no and rise up against the, you know, the tyranny and the stuff. And really it's not about being angry, because they feed off of that. So if we're getting angry and we're like doing these things and we're like, you know, trying to, that's not it. They want that, you know, they love that. This is about you like going within and awakening and realizing that just through here, through this, right, through your temple, the kingdom, your pineal, your the other cavity, I forgot the name, where, you know, the oil is, and, you know, your temples, all of these things, my loves. If you know, you know, you know, but if you don't know, these are seeds, and they'll come, more information is going to come into you. If you're here, you're being activated. If you're here right now, you're being activated, and more information is going to come into your hologram, into your simulation, that's going to wake you up. All right. So, what else did I want to talk about? Yeah. So, you know, beautiful time, because Saturn is how, to me, Saturn, I mean, Pisces is like this portal to the other side, and then Aries is the rebirth. So I feel like with Saturn and Pisces, which is playing out from now, okay, it already entered on the 7th of March to the 13th of February of 2026, we have an opportunity, while Pluto is in Aquarius and Saturn is in Pisces, to, I call it, choose our side. Okay, to choose our side, because that's what I feel like is the vibe, right? It's very much about, okay, you learned what you learned, now you know what you know. And then when Saturn moves into Aries, it's time for us to rebuild. Okay, when I say us, I mean those of us who have awakened, those of us who are starseeds, lightworkers, chosen ones, whatever. If by then we haven't ascended, or something hasn't happened, like some event, because again, that's something that's very probable, and that's something that many people in the community believe in. Then what I believe is, if that hasn't happened yet, right? Although we're going to still continue to have frequency upgrades and solar flares and continue ascending. Also, I will say this, because we're going to tie in the timelines and how they're both going to play out simultaneously, because we have the event, and then when we have the event, there is a possibility that the lower timeline will still continue, and we're going to be perceiving it, but it's about people freeing themselves from it. And so Saturn and Pisces is an opportunity. And part of why, guys, I do tarot readings, Alina's my tarot, relating to money and your dreams and your goals, and I use those words, but that's going to mean different things to different people. Financial goals and dreams can be very ego-based, or it can be for a higher purpose, like securing something for yourself and your family to prepare. Okay, it can be, you know, wanting to build wealth so that you can utilize that to create and purchase things for yourself. Like maybe you want to build your own fruit farm, your fruit forest, your garden. Well, you need irrigation, you need the land, you need to own this free and clear so no one can come take it from you. You need to have money saved up for the property taxes. So for us to think that we should not be focusing on these things on some level, if, you know, it's something that you want, is to me kind of like not having a plan B, or like preparing, because part of what happened before, when 7 years ago, you know, and what I noticed in my friends and the people that I was around back then, is that we all had these like-minded dreams and goals, and we wanted to see the new earth. But I was like, who's making this happen? Who's making this happen? You know, like, how are we going to make this happen? So for me, that was like the fuel, right? And then what I also noticed, like within the movements, a lot of you maybe know about the GCR and you're involved in this, like, you know, we're involved in it. But for me, it's like you can be involved in it, but you can also detach from it and like accept the possibility. But then also, as you start realizing more and more, it's kind of like that savior thing. So it's like, why do we feel like someone else needs to come save us? You know, whether it's, and that's how they're doing this, right? That's how they're carrying out these agendas, is creating these problems and then creating solutions. And that's essentially how they've controlled us. Okay, Pluto has to do with control. Saturn as well. This is why we want to pay close attention to these two planets, and why we also will want to look back at what's played out in the last, you know, 100 years, and start comparing and taking notes, you know, like we did with these events that I mentioned to you. Okay, so Saturn is going to move into Aries, time for the new beginning, time to rebuild. But while we are rebuilding, we have to, in the higher timeline, and those of us who are, you know, continuing to manifest the new earth and ascend, we have to also acknowledge that the darkness is going to try to continue to suck in whoever they can to get, to take the energies and the things of the people that are not meant to, move on or something to the earth. So, I mean, even just mentioning that and acknowledging that is so like low vibe, guys. It's like, it doesn't even resonate with me. It doesn't feel right. But it's something that's happening. Like, we can't ignore it, like they, right, want to, everything is so unnatural now, right? Like, there's the whole agenda with controlling the food supply, right? The vegan thing is become part of this psyop darkness operation, right? Because I'm vegan, but I'm almost starting to not identify as vegan anymore. Okay. There's many things in this world that I don't identify with because it's become a dark agenda. It's become distorted, right? Veganism used to be this thing about living in harmony with nature, the universe. Okay. Nature, the universe, all living beings, but most of all, also to be healthy. So it was about like healthiness, right? Like eating fruits and vegetables, eating herbs, alkalizing yourself. Now, veganism is about fake meat, synthetic processed foods that are bad for us. Even if it's maybe a little bit better than eating animals, because eating animals is very degenerative to the body, and we're not certain beings. Okay. And then there's also genetic splicing. So I understand that some people may have some sort of code in them that makes them more like able to withstand that. But the thing is, when you think about it, everyone's sick, everyone's dying. And that's a whole nother video, right? We're not going to get into all that, but I do want you to know that I am very well versed on this area because this is what I went to school for. This is what I studied. Not only that, I've lived it, I've done it. I've healed myself from health issues that I was told I would never be able to heal from in the medical world. Okay. I'm thriving, I'm vibrant and whatever. And so if you guys want to know more about that, definitely stay connected with me. But we're not going to get into all of that. Take it or leave it is kind of what I would say with anything that comes out my mouth, like in this video, because I'm not going to give you the ins and outs. This is not a master class. Okay. So, and you didn't come here for that, right? You came here for the predictions. But it's important to note these things because that's one agenda, right? So it's like this whole idea of controlling the masses, right? There's that theme. And it's this idea of going into this lower timeline. The lower timeline, right? Back to the whole, what's the difference? Higher timeline is more natural. It's organic. Okay, it's the divine blueprint. It's the DNA in your body that God created versus the tampered with AI that's done by big pharma, by AI, by other beings. Okay. And these agendas to sterilize people, okay, is another one. Anything that's negative, you guys, this is where we have to go back to basics, like negative, positive, right? Sadness, depression, anger, lack of self-love versus love, abundance, unity, happiness, joy. Okay. It sounds so basic. And for some people, this one is so foreign because their life has been nothing but this. Don't feel like I'm insensitive. I don't want you to feel like, oh, she is so insensitive. Like, we're going through it. I was homeless. Okay. As a minor, I have been through it. I've had drug use and experiences. I have dealt with addiction. Okay. I mean, I've risen above it. So for me, all of these things are, everything's like a quotation mark because I have a different vantage point now. But back then, those things were very real and my life was not good. Like, I tried to end my life many times. I was suicidal and here I am smiling, about it and laughing about it because I look back and it's so far behind me. I'm so far removed from that person that I once was. And, I dealt with the sexual abuse. I've dealt with the physical abuse from a very young age. I've dealt with these things. You know what I mean? So when I come here and I say these things to you, it's not to make you feel bad. It's not to make you feel like I'm being insensitive and like I don't get it. I do get it. But we have to fight, You have, for your own soul. It's not a game, even though it is. So, it's one of those things, you guys. And like, I just wanted to say all that about myself for anyone who does choose to follow me. and to follow and tap into me and my story so that you get me. You get me. Okay. If you don't get me, you don't need to get me. Okay. I don't care. It's about those who are meant to ride with me and that we're meant to support one another and to just like vibe, okay, as we continue on the journey. But basically, or simply our paths cross, right? When I say that too, guys, it's not like we're in this like this. No, like we are, but we're not. Like we still have individual lives, and we want to keep that individuality while we're still here. Okay, so that's another thing that's important. But I think community is so important, and that's what Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring in: community, right? For the higher timeline, it's about coming together and working together and truly loving one another, right? And not judging each other. And that's the thing. It's like non-judgy judgment. I think that's such a brilliant thing. Like I got that from Tosh and Bex. Okay, check them out. Tosh and Bex, beautiful channel. Also check out Martin Lipka. Okay. I know those channels are out there, but there's other things too. There's wonderful people that has nothing to do with astrology. There's so many people on different levels, and that's what I love is like, like Ireland Clark, guys, check Ireland out. Okay. Michael, the our everyday lives, guys, check these people out, check these channels out, so you kind of get more where I'm coming from. These are just like people I've come across. These are obviously not where I started. I didn't get started through these actually are 4 channels that I've come across this year that to me were just like, oh my god, these people get it, like they believe the same things as me. They're not the ones who taught me what I know, except that I have learned a lot from them. That's another thing that I've added onto my base, okay, to my foundational base of spirituality and physics and knowledge and all these things, especially Ireland. I think Ireland's so cool, and I like her work, okay. However, when you're in this like world of questing, learning, and freeing yourself, you come across so many different theories or different people, different beliefs, different things. And so for me, I'm able to like adopt certain things and like believe in it, but then also kind of like believe in something that might have a different like opinion, but only if it resonates. As far as I've gone, there's still like a few little things that I'm still working out. And they're probably always going to be, well, I hope not always, but because I truly believe that in this lifetime, the truth is going to be revealed to many of us, right? We are going to have, I don't even like calling it disclosure, because it's like that whole thing is a whole psyop in itself, right? It's like, no, it's like this whole thing of creating the problem and then the solution, like, here we are to tell you the truth. And it's like, you can't even believe in that, right? When they come in their ships, you can't even believe in that shit. It's like you have the Gaia app, you have all these people, like there's like you have the Corey Goods, you have like freaking all these whistleblowers and all these amazing people that have been part of our journeys. But when you really wake up even more guys, like this is coming from like, oh my god, it's like, it's insane. Like you just realize, wow. Okay. So anyway, Pluto in Aquarius. Oh, the places the mind takes us. Yeah. And it's really, that's the thing. The mind is what's created it all. And it's how they use us. Okay. Because of our power. But it's like, how do we now take that power back and, go back? Oh, okay. I know I have whiplash, guys. This is what I do, guys. It is what it is. Okay. If anyone has a problem with it, oh, well, okay. It is what it is. I cannot change how my mind operates. Okay. I can work on it, and I am working on it, but I've worked on myself so much. So it's like, you guys see it as like, some people might see it as like, oh my god, she is not like this and this and that, but I see it as, you don't know how far I've come. Okay. And this is not the end at all. This, like, life is ever changing and growing, so it's just beautiful. I am someone who works well with the script, so I think moving forward I will be typing out my things because I'm a great writer. That way I can like articulate things better, or just more so deliver them in a more grounded way because my mind works in mysterious ways. So, well, because it's like I'm just like I have like my neurological system just like firing on all cylinders, and there's so much that I've taken in. So it's like explaining it is the thing that, and making it make sense. And so I am, needing to slow down and all of that. But again, writing it out is really the way to go. But I just wanted to get this video out. So let's get this video out. Okay, so we spoke about that with like technology and stuff like this. Well, we're seeing these themes, right, with control, right, like China and all of that and whatever, where they're trying to create these like credit score systems. And again, I don't even like talking about this. Why? Because it's not in my world, you guys. It's not in my world. But I know it's out there, and I know that a lot of you are seeing these things, or you might experience them. So this is why I'm kind of touching on them. The stuff with the 5G, the stuff with all of these things that you hear nowadays. People waking up to more of what's happening. A lot of about the juice. Okay. And you guys believe in that, and I do too. Like, I believe that it's not good. I believe in all these things. I believe in staying pure and all of these things, right? So this is all stuff that's gonna be playing out. We already got a glimpse of it, of what it looks like. However, as you wake up, right, it's that split, and so a lot of people will continue to move down that path. Okay, so let's talk about the real meat and potatoes here that I want to get out. And the real meat and potatoes, I'm just going to say it, is Pluto in Aquarius bringing in the New World Order. Okay. And then you also have, okay, that's the lower timeline. What is that? Right? That's basically where people have relinquished all their power out of fear, where people allowed the fake psychological operations to be created and then say, okay, sure, I'll do what you tell me to do. Versus those of us who are up on it, aware of it, because we've done the research, we know what's going on, and we're able to say no. Okay. And those of us who are able to say no, even within that community and the groups that are saying no, there's so much division. There's so much sectorism, right? Like, this group believes this group believes that, even when we do intersect. And again, I believe these are part of these division chop suey mechanisms that are created. And it's really crazy because you think that you've awakened, you think you're part of a group, you think you're on the right side of things, and then you realize, oh my God, that's also a sham. Okay, so it goes that far out, and that's something that is going to be revealed. It's about being very this is a time for us to use our third eye. So basically, guys, we have, as you guys can already tell, there's a lot of darkness, right? Like, Canada is allowing people to kill themselves, to take their lives, medically. If you give medical reason, you can get a doctor to sign off and to, euthanize you, right? We're seeing, like the whole, okay, I don't even want to get into the whole trans thing, guys, because I think that is something that's like a distortion in itself. In the sense of the agenda, I don't want to speak on like trans people. I don't really want to speak on, like, I don't want to demonize something that doesn't need to be demonized. I think what's being demonized and what's been weaponized is the actual, what it means to be transgendered, or, to actually feel like, you were born in the wrong, like, biology. Okay. That's a whole nother topic, and I don't want to get into that in this video. It's like, it's a lot, I have my beliefs and I have my views on it. I'll just say this. I think that where it was once something that was, even when it was, I don't know, how do I say this? Let's just say that in everything in life, there's evil and there's light. And we shouldn't put everyone in a group. The same way that not every gay person is, the same as another. Not every Black person is the same as another. Not every Hispanic is just like I hate being put in a box. Like, that's one, like, I hate when people think, oh, she's Colombian. She must be a gold digger, or she must be this, this, and that. I'm like, you don't even know me. You know, it's like, oh, she's Puerto Rican, you know, because I'm half Colombian, half Puerto Rican. She is loud and she's aggressive, or she must be feisty and she's a strong woman. Oh, you better watch out for the Puerto Rican women. Like, that stuff really bothers me because it's a generalization. And what happens when we generalize is that we start creating and we start playing out these subconscious programs that now dictate the results for us without even knowing the facts, without even getting to know the person and getting to know them for who they are. And so I think that what's happened with, social media is a big one. Social media is another big thing, because what happens with these movements, with these groups, with these people that are woke, you know, that think that they're like up on shit, is that they're feeding into these suppression, oppression timelines and agendas where they're the victims. Woe is me. You know, it's like, I'm the one who is the blank blank of society. Like they're the, you know, oppressed and the other. And I'm not saying that on some level that's not a thing. What I am saying though is that we create it, right? We do create it by believing it. Okay. It's like you're born and you're programmed to believe something, whether it's your parents, the TV, the media, whatever, and you replay it. And so culturally and societally, we replay these things. So if you're someone who thinks, oh, this is how it is for people like me, that's how it's going to be for people like you. If you're someone who's programmed to believe, oh, it doesn't have to be that way for me, right? That's why how we raise our children is so important. And okay, so I'm throwing these things out there, right? I don't want to get into details. If you want to know more, I would just follow me, girl. Let's connect, you know, so that you can hear hear what I have to say on everything, and you know what I really feel about everything. I think that it's time, you know, this is another thing, guys. Saturn in Pisces with Pluto in Aquarius, it's going to make more and more light workers and light warriors speak out and speak their truth. Because the shit that we've been seeing is bullshit. I'm sorry, I hate to say this, but a lot of what's out there is farce. It's fake. It's actors. It's paid puppets. They're not even like genuine within these communities, right? Within these spaces, within these social groups. And they get all this clout and they get all this growth and they get all this support because it's pushing the narrative, because it's feeding the machine. It's creating more division and separation within us as people. We're not finding the commonalities. We're not uniting. So Pluto in Aquarius is going to determine that. If Pluto in Aquarius is the time for this to shift. Okay. I personally am not a doomsdayer. I personally don't believe in the Lord timeline. I know it's there. I know they want it. I know they're trying. But guess what? They were supposed to have done what they already wanted to do in 2020 and they didn't. Okay, same before and before and before, and they haven't been able to do it. Why? Because the chosen are here, because we are here anchoring in the higher codes, the frequencies. That's why they've tried to take out a lot of people. But the thing is that we already entered the new earth. We're already in the higher timeline. And some people are not. So they will continue to go down that road. Okay. Some of the people that we're seeing don't have souls, guys. And then some of the humans that you see aren't even human. So that's another thing. But why am I throwing these things out there, guys? Because it's time. Okay, the truth is coming out. And those who are meant to see will see. Those who will have the veil lifted, the wool pulled, you know, will see the truth and recognize what it truly is. And we're all going through that more and more. Okay. If you're here, I truly feel like you're awakened, or you're awakening, or you're meant to awaken. So, you know, medical, you know, so I mean, actually, I do want to say this. The transgender topic or whatever is to me a very important one, because I've done a lot of research on it. I've done a lot of like questioning all of that, and what I've come across on many levels, you know, the medical side of things, the governmental side of things, the spiritual side of things, and no one freaking talks about. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. It really is, because I feel like it's not just with that. It's so many things have to do with the spiritual side. No one's talking about it. No one's talking about what all of this really means and why it's happening. And everything's so focused on the ego. It's all about the ego, right? And we focus on these ego-based issues and make it about our feelings being hurt, or like, or not even just our feelings being hurt. A lot of times it's about the superficial side of things, and it's not. No one's addressing the actual spiritual side because most people don't understand it, and you know, and I feel like with the whole transhumanism thing, that's really what this is about. Pluto in Aquarius. What is transhumanism? Transhumanism, which is also part of the meat and potatoes in this video, is the agenda where it's the lower timeline, guys. It's basically them trying to recreate God, or the organic. Okay, there already exists AI consciousness out there. When you guys see robots that are like AI, they're like, that's way old. That's not even, that's like a joke. Okay, that's like a joke. They're laughing at us. They treat you like a dumb person. And every time they give us technology, it's way, like, the technology is way more advanced. And I'm not even talking 50 years in advance. Like, there's some technology that's a lot more advanced in the hands of humans. I'm talking about the technology that's not in the hands of humans, that's off world, okay, that's off planet, excuse me, and that's on other planets, okay, on other planes. Oh my god, I want to say so much, but I know I can't. There's certain things I can't say. That's another thing. If you think like I'm saying too much, or you think, oh my gosh, no, I'm really not. This is old tea, guys. This is old tea. So anyway, yeah, this is old tea. I'm not saying anything that I shouldn't be saying. So, yeah, the transhumanism thing has to do with basically creating a non-organic DNA template for the human. It's about genetically modifying the human. Everything's been genetically modified. There are beings that are genetically modified, master geneticists, as a lot of you may have learned or known, and things like this. And so part of the agendas that have been in place is to stop humanity's ascension. So Pluto in Aquarius signifies, and to me with Saturn and Pisces signifies, I talk about the Vesica Pisces a lot because that was one of the first things that I learned about, on my journey, okay, when I was really, really young. But even that is kind of a distortion. I'm not going to get into why, but I want to talk about the idea of it, okay? Where it's, you have the higher timeline, the lower timeline, and there's a split. Okay, that's an idea, a theory, a belief, a concept, right? But it's basically this. I want to like not get wrapped up in that and talk about this idea that I'm giving you from my mind and from what I've seen and what a lot of people believe as well. Okay, where we have the ascension timeline. Okay, we're activating our blueprints. We're ascending, where I heard oil, right? The oil, the sacred oil, the Christos activation, all of these things that we're going through. And because this has been, it's divine decree, like the first thing I learned about on my journey was the divine plan. And I'm someone who uses that a lot because I believe in the divine plan. And I know that that's what I'm here to carry out, okay, on an individual level and also collectively. And so part of the divine plan, this divine plan was always meant to be, and a lot of the dark forces have known this, and it's part of humanity waking up. And every time humanity wakes up, they try to shut it down. But this time they aren't. And I'm not talking about just over the last couple of years. I mean, over the last thousands and thousands of years, there have been like resets. Okay, I just saw 333. I wanted to just make sure that I could say that, but yeah, like it just is what it is. Do your research. So shout out to all my yeah. Anyway, and basically with this, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so it's about the ascension. And so how are they trying to? Basically, they're trying to just like take what they can with them and take who they can with them to their darker realms and darker realities. And part of how they're doing this is through altering the DNA. Once the DNA is altered, and once okay, excuse me. So part of this is using nanotechnology. Okay, there's also yeah. There's certain things like that, so I'm trying to like monitor. yeah, there's certain things, and some of you know, okay, that are being like experimented with and things like this. So beyond that, guys, it is really beyond that. Like, let's look outside of the medical stuff, the um, you know, pharma stuff and all of that, right? Of how they're lowering the frequency. Okay, to put it in layman's terms, they're a lot of what's created is to lower the frequency, to poison the people, to okay, and by the way, this is all fictional. Disclaimer, this is all fiction. Okay, so therefore it's just a story, it's just fiction. Okay, it's based on a fiction story. Okay, so there's certain things, right? A lot of you know about the fluoride, right? Fiction, it's all fiction. Yeah. Okay, you know about the chemtrails, you know about the pollution, you know about all of these things, the EMFs, the blah, blah, blah. But what I want to say this, and this is an aha moment for some of you maybe, is that all of that has been created for those of us who are awakening as a way as well to loosh off of us, to take our loosh. So when you first awaken to these things, a lot of times you feel enraged, you feel anxiety. The more you know these things are real or playing out, you start believing them. And so now you're like feeding into it. And so I want you guys to think about that as well. And how can we detach from that? Because when we go back to core basics of fear being what feeds the darkness, and then we can now remove ourselves from that and say, you know what, I see it, I know it, I observe it. Yes, I may talk about it to wake up others, but I know the truth, and that stuff does not affect me. Like, guys, we have this power to transmute it all, to clear it out through love, right? To say, yes, it's, you know, it's all about love. And love is not always, oh, even though it can be, and it is, and we can tap into it like that. We can also tap into it through the masculine energy, through strength. Okay, so I just want to say that. And that's something I learned recently on my journey over the last, I'd say, year and a half. You know, I kept going through these like spiritual things. You know, I go through a lot of things in my sleep. I go through a lot of I visit different planes, different worlds, different places. I'm always on mission. And I've had to, you know, I've seen a lot of these beings that we hear of, you know, in the communities and stuff. I've encountered them. I've gone face to face, head to head. Like, yeah, okay, I'm part of that team. I'm part of that team. Okay, if you're part of that team, you know what I mean. We're out here. We're out here. Okay, and that's the thing. They've tried to demonize each and every one of us. Okay, through the simulation. And I don't know if a lot of you believe in fillers. Okay, some of you might believe in fillers, or you know what fillers are. CPUs, MPCs, or whatever. So think about it. Like, we're all the chosen ones, or the star seeds, right? It's like we are needing to, I feel like we're being called also at this time to come together. Anyway, so Pluto in Aquarius. So, okay, so we spoke about those important themes because this is kind of the agendas that have been playing out. We've seen this. And so now that we got that out of the way, you know, it's going to be up to each person to use their free will and their judgment to either support that world and reality, or to remove themselves from that and not allow the fear to dictate. Because they love to say like, oh, like they're going to put fear like, oh, if you don't do this, you can't do that. Oh, you don't do this, you can't eat. But we've known about this for years. Like, it's a possibility. I always see it as a possibility. I don't see it as like, this is what's going to happen, because I'm not creating that. I'm creating what I'm creating. So while I'm creating the new earth, while that stuff happens and tries to suck me in and get me to believe in it, because it's going to be appearing, right, in the simulation, it's you focusing on your highest timeline, guys. And part of that is to be smart and make smart decisions in that system, in the 3D world, in the, you know, the financial, you know, make money, smart decisions, focus on your growth, focus on the material as well. It's not just the spiritual. I mean, if you're someone who's able to do that because you've found some security, or you have income stream, or you're able to, you know, some of you might be, okay, nomadic. Some of you might be, I know people who are like off grid, like but it's like, how do you get to like where you want to be on your journey? Because everyone wants different things, right? Not everyone's going to want to secure a piece of land and to live off of it, right? And then also this idea, what I love too, is like, how do we detach from that? Because even that's an attachment, right? This idea of, I need to make money to buy myself the land and to free myself. That's also a construct. And it can also come from fear. So This type of work is so powerful, you guys, because we're constantly having to check ourselves and really check our intentions and where we're coming from energetically. And for me, when I pull away, I see it as no matter what, we're ascending, right? I'm ascending, we're ascending. And so that belief, and this is why I love listening to Michael, okay? Because he's so amazing. I mean, I just love hearing all the stuff about the solar flash and stuff, because to me, that's my plan C. So the reason I am able to believe in different things is because I keep each theory or each belief as when it comes to ascension and stuff like this, as like plan A, plan B, plan C. And so I always know that there's a fallback, you know, and I know that no matter what, that we're already home, guys. We're one with God, with source. So that's what's beautiful, right? That we're one with God, we're one with source. So back to the lower timeline and to the dark realm, right? Because you have to acknowledge, like, think about it. And I'm going to give you something basic for those of you who are new to anything like this. Think about it. Okay, a world where there's killing, death, violence, where there's abuse, where there's all these things. How is that not the lower realm? Would you call it heaven? I don't think so. So how are we anchoring in heaven on earth, right? Well, if hell on earth was a thing, we have to realize that. And so the more we realize that, now we realize who's behind this or what's behind this, and we question everything. Now we can actually do the ascension and wake up. So that's how it is, like on a basic level, right? That's usually where it starts. It usually starts, and your journey started from asking questions. And the more questions you ask, the deeper you go. But I will say this, like, it's not something you have to I don't, like, it's not something you want to force. Like, for me, it's always come in waves and in seasons. And I don't know if it's because and this is me going back into the whole astrology thing. You know, I do play with it. I believe in it. I play with it. My natal chart, you know, I have a lot of that, you know, air element, and I have a lot of mutables. So I personally have noticed that whenever I go through my rabbit hole moments, it's usually around, I also have a very special axis in my chart when it comes to my spiritual journey. And so I notice now, like, when do I go through these research moments, or sometimes I don't even have to research, it just comes in. It's usually on the mutable seasons. So like Pisces season, Virgo season, Gemini season, Sag. And usually when that happens, I like feel very disconnected from everything around me, because I go so deep into this unearthing. And that's what happens to a lot of people. And the whole process of diving into these topics and these things, guys, it is Plutonian. It's Pluto energy. Yeah. And with Saturn and Pisces, like, this is what a lot of us are going to be going through. Now, I do feel like Saturn and Pisces, it keeps it a little more light. It keeps it a little more less dark. Like, I'm a Pluto and Scorpio native. Yes. Okay. I'm tapping into that whole idea. And it is true, because it's played out in my life. Like, if you do research on Pluto and Scorpio energies and people, like, my life story is very much that. Okay. North Node in Scorpio, Pluto and Scorpio. It's very much that. You know, like, but it's also very much that. So it's a beautiful, I love it, you know, and we should all love ourselves and stuff like this. So yeah. Gotta love astrology, but I think, like, on a higher level, right? If you're someone who's on that quest of, like, whatever, and you're really into astrology, I think there's like a place that you can get to where there's more that they're not telling us, because what we know, guys, anything that we know is basically what they're allowing us to know. Anything that's that's mainstream, that's not censored, right? That's not COIN. Okay, piracy. No, that's truth. Like, and so, and for some people, you're like, oh my God, you're so dark, you're so negative. No. I'm not dark or negative. I'm actually just aware. Right? If I was dark and negative, I'd be saying, oh, you're so dark and negative sounds dark and negative, first of all. And also, the fear is what keeps people in the darkness and in the illusion. Okay, it's the illusion, right? The illusion, guys. It's like that illusion of, like, here you go. Here's the car key. You know, here's the house. Shiny, shiny. Oh, you're so shiny. You know? It keeps us distracted. It keeps us feeling good about ourselves. It keeps us, this whole like, that's, part of the game. So a lot of people become complacent or okay with all of that and just accept it as like a way to, validate their reality and make sense of it and say, oh yeah, like this is the life, Um, and if you're okay with that, that's okay, because free will, guys, this is where, again, no judgment. And when I say no judgment, it's like I used to argue back and forth with my twin. Because he used to tell me, you're so judgmental, like you're so judgy, like you're always judging. I'm like, I'm not a judger. I'm a judger. Yes, I'm a critical thinker, right? I'm able to know the difference. Like we are meant to judge. We have judgment, okay? But to judge someone and to like look down upon someone is a different thing. And we use the word interchangeably, and I think that's where it gets confusing, right? And so it's the idea of like, okay, you can make judgments on things without judging someone. Like you're not necessarily like I don't judge anyone. Like you could do anything, you could want it, whatever. I don't have to agree with it, but it doesn't mean I judge you, because I have compassion. And compassion, again, is not being like, oh, let me give you a big hug and like everything's okay. No, I feel like compassion is also for self, because it goes back to you, guys. It always goes back to you. And also when you are able to go have that connection with the external, which is also the internal, because again, it's like as above, so below, as within, so without. So it's like it's happening at the same time, guys. It's not like you're just doing one thing or operating from one way, right? It's like you're connecting with source, God's source, and you know that other being is also part of God's source. So if you're judging someone else, you're judging God, right? Okay, so Pluto in Aquarius. I know I keep saying that. It's funny though. I think it's funny. It sounds like a joke, right? Because I keep going off into a tangent. So okay, we spoke about that. So yeah, transhumanism. Okay, so this also has to do with these ideas of like wanting to put up the like, okay, many of you have heard of Starlink, the Starlink satellites, things like free energy and all these things that are very real and were around in ancient times. They're going to be revealed more and more. A lot of us already know about these things, how they haven't wanted us to have access to these things because they don't want us to free ourselves, essentially. Because if we had free energy, we wouldn't have to pay all these things for all these things and taxes, and it's not just taxes too, and that's going to go away as well. Now the thing with that is like, okay, is that part of what timeline is that part of? And so this is where we realize our true power. It's not about allowing the external to dictate, guys. It's about you creating. So like for me, my core stance at the end of the day is always what will most serve the greatest good of all and the highest good of all, right? And it's not just allowing it to happen, it's actually informing myself too. Because when I was just on the spiritual path, it was like, I didn't really want to look into things. I knew about things, but I didn't really want to. I just kept having faith and stuff and going into the water element and really being spiritual and saying, oh, like I'm calling in, and it works. It does work, guys. And I think we all have roles like in this. That's another thing. Don't ever feel like you have to be the researcher. Because if you're not meant to be the researcher, you're not meant to be the researcher. We all have different roles. And that's something I learned through astrology. I noticed that the mutable signs have their purposes, the fixed signs have their purpose, and the cardinal sign has their purpose. So sometimes I find myself saying like, oh, this sign is like blah, 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 blah. But then I'm like, but you know what? If it wasn't for this, this, and that, we wouldn't have this, this, and this. Because each archetype is so important in creation, in society, in this, this whole matrix thing. So, yeah, the transhumanism, I don't know why something doesn't want to come out of my mouth, guys. It's about also like, okay, so connecting to the AI, where it's like you lose connection from God and source. And so many people don't have spirituality, right? So many people are very indoctrinated. They follow a script and they read a book and they are doing what they're told because that's what they know. And they think they're connecting, but what are they connecting with, And part of this whole separation illusion has been to farther humanity and distance us not just from one another, but from God's source. on the highest level. And more so from the light, guys. It's more so from the light portion, the light side of creation, right? To try to take us to the darkness. Because on some level there is that polarity, but then on a higher level, which is where I always operate from, it's all one and the same. It's two sides of the same coin, right? But it's like there's that third face of it, the edge. So it's like, how do we operate from the edge? And so I'm always thinking of operating through the edge. But at the same time, I've chosen like my specific team, okay, which I don't like, because again, it's like this whole idea of being on a team, right? But that's how this third dimension works. So you just roll with it. But when you guys can shift out and realize like beyond it, which is what ascension is, you go back to a space where you're looking at it all through God, through as being back home with God, with source, or like wherever, if it's 5D Earth, right? Where, because there's ascension, guys, this is another thing. There's ascension like back to source. And then there's ascension out of the matrix into the divine blueprint, right? Into the new earth, into 5D Earth. So there's this idea of ascending back to source, but then there's an idea of ascending as a human beings, right? In a physical vessel, even if it's slightly different type of makeup. Like maybe, it's not carbon based, it's more silica based or crystalline. There's so many different things in the communities that we hear about, right? And so it's like, which one is the one? We're going to find out. I like to see it as a light body, more of a light body, because that's what I experience. And knowing that everything is really light, frequency, light, and vibration, right? Vibration and sound is it. Sound and vibration, and then light is the way light hits the vibration, makes material, and the way it's vibrating and oscillating is what determines the density and all of this. So when we look at the vertical, right, you have the horizontal, which would be the timelines. And then you have the vertical, which is the vibration and the frequency, right? But so anyhow, guys, I got off topic again, but it's important to note these things, because the lower you go, the farther you go away from the light. Like when I used to teach, back when I was in my teenage years, I actually used to go around teaching like dimensional theory to people and creation and what I understood of it. I didn't know about certain things that I've learned about through Ireland, which is like something, and Ashiana Dean. I love her teachings. However, just to keep it basic, through dimensions 1 and 12, okay, we're not even going to talk about 14 or whatever, just 1 and 12, right? It's like this idea, just basic, it's this idea of like the lower you go, the darker it is, the more isolated it is, the more linear it is, the more you lose sight of yourself, of source, and the oneness. And so when we think about this dark consciousness, whether you want to call it evil, I personally believe that they're kind of working together, but I also believe like that there's a manifestation of actually, you guys want to know what I really believe? Stay tuned, because I actually have a whole spiral thing to take you on when it comes to that. This concept of, I just want to give you an idea of how there was this original, okay, this is something I got into through the Gaia thing, but I try not to get implanted, because sometimes you don't know. Sometimes these psychological operations try to get you. You know what I mean? Through these channels that seem like, oh my God, finally something's speaking my language. And as a starseed, or as a person who is into these things, it's easy to get sucked into something, right? But it's this idea of, basically for me, I try to go to the core thing. So I just look at like dark and light and like evil or whatever. Like on a lower level, I call it evil, but on a higher level, it's light and dark, positive, negative, masculine, feminine, and all of that. So it's this whole thing with the AI. Okay, so we know, like, for example, like BlackRock, if you're in the, okay, now let's move to the financial markets, and then I'm going to tie it back into the AI with the transhumanism thing. So Pluto in Aquarius, right? Technology, all of these things. Well, we know that Pluto was in Capricorn, and we know that a lot of these company, and this is another thing, when we say technology companies, we really give a lot of credit to the names that we know of, right? But the thing is that above that and behind that, there are other names, there are other groups and beings that we don't know of. Okay, when I say don't know of, I mean like we don't see and we don't know the names and things like this. So we do give a lot of credit to the simulation people, right? But anyway, so let's talk about that. So monetary systems, right? We love the monetary system. Yay, we love it. Okay. But sadly, yeah, it was created to enslave and to control. And it's very much tied to energy. And I'm not going to go into all that because, again, that's something that I would have to type out and really be able to articulate this properly and compose it in a way where it all makes sense. Not off the top of my head, but, and a lot of you already have learned about, moon and money and the connection of water and currency and what that means and all those etymologies and things like this. Okay. So when we look at the actual system itself and the way that everything's manipulated and corrupted and controlled, and it was created out of thin air, right? Now, I have certain beliefs that go a lot more out there that I haven't really heard anyone speak on, but it's based on a lot of what I know is based on my claircognizance and clairsentience. I have been involved in financial markets. I know about crypto. I know about Forex. I know how the systems work, the financial systems. And I've gone down in that world and I've experienced it. And I think it's a fun place to live in, all these things about, I love it. Like, it's fun. Like, we're here to also enjoy ourselves too. So, okay. But when you look at it and you see it for what it really is and you start realizing it, it's just so crazy. And so one of the things I recently realized, yeah, and that's crazy. And I've gone out there with my research too, and that's where it gets like, okay, guys, I apologize. So I need to clear out the space. Okay, so we have like two different timelines when it comes to this. Okay. So whether you're someone who believes in manipulation, you believe in, the whole inflation, and I mean, we know it's a thing. Like, I'm not saying that it's not, but what I mean is the timing of everything is very much calculated, right? They know when they're doing certain things. They plan things years ahead in advance. Everything is planned. Like, nothing happens when they say it does. Like, they didn't just come up with stuff and, all the people that were elected, it's okay that we're going out there. Okay. So we have different things. Like, what's one of the theories? Well, one is about being gold backed, being asset backed, having treasury notes. And that's a whole world too of community that, we believe in that. And there's another community or another agenda. Okay. This one's more of an agenda. I wouldn't even call it a community because I don't know who's in favor of that. I'm not in favor of that. I definitely do not consent. Okay. To, the one world thing. And so with that, it's about merging everyone into one system that is highly, highly controlled and is meant to take away all your freedom. And basically it's by creating one online thing. And so this is another thing with crypto, there is a positive and a negative. And this is where a lot of people get confused, because the problem with these systems and the things, like, we hear a lot of things and we hear a lot of fear-based things, but we never hear the actual good side of how we can utilize these technologies for good, right? And when you think you do, usually there's an agenda behind it. Like, when it comes to climate change and global warming, you might be someone who has great intentions because you want to save the planet and you want to do all these things. But again, these are all psyops that have been created to put you into fear. And this ties back into the veganism, the financial thing with the AI thing, and the one, I said one coin with the one okay thing, that all ties into the transhumanism. With the veganism, it ties into the health system, and then the health system ties into the transhumanism thing. So all of this is a big spider web, you guys, that has been created. And these things are very Plutonian things, right? They're scorpionic in nature. It's secret societies, it's occult stuff, hidden world. And occult does not mean evil, right? You can learn occult knowledge for good, like learning light work, magic for the light. So why am I bringing all these things up? Well, because this is what we're living through. Okay, this is what we're going through, as human beings. And it's time. It's time. So yeah. Okay. So now that we got all that out of the way and I was able to throw out a few things for you that are playing out, I'm not going to go more into any of that. I might, but I'm not going to really go into it. I want to see if I can keep this into under 2 hours and 30 minutes. So again, follow me. Let's connect, right? Let's connect. Let's stay connected. If you want to learn more, if you guys want to know more, if there's anything you want me to make a video on, please let me know in the comments. If you have questions or would like to know more, let me know in the comments. This is going to support me and having sort of like a little roadmap to know what to create for you, okay, for the collective. So Pluto enters, okay, and it won't be like this, guys. I may have certain videos where I'm giving you my from the top of my head, which is, as you guys can see, is a yes, I love it. But there's also going to be like videos where I'm reading a script that I wrote, and I'm like, "Hi, you guys. So A, B, and C plus 4, 5, and 3 equals 9, and 9 divided by A and D is negative whatever, and this is how it works, and blah blah blah." Okay, so the etymology of this word means this, so it'll be like that, you guys. Um, not to make fun, but guys, you know, let's have fun. Life, you're supposed to have fun. Like I know this is like my childlike, silly, like energy, but trust and believe when I tell you that I take things very seriously as just as much as I don't. So it's about being able to do both, right? It's life is very much like that. How do we, like, it's that edge of the coin, right? It's like we all have light and dark, right? How do we integrate? And integration is not like hiding the darkness and pretending it's not there. It's about getting to know it, loving it, nurturing it, and then letting it, using it when you need to. And it's, as long as it's not for bad, right? For like evil, for darkness and selfishness and ego stuff. And there's a way to utilize the darkness. I think for me personally, I know I'm going on a tangent, but the darkness, I utilize it when I'm in situations. I think we can equate it to fight or flight as well. There are times when you're out in the world and you come across people that are, yeah, that are very low vibrational. And sometimes being high vibe doesn't always work. It works when you're super, super like high vibe. Like, I mean, when you're so high vibe that you're not even perceiving these people. But if you're someone who's in between worlds, like at one point in my life, like back to that story really quick, when I was really up there with my uh, spiritual work and, my conscious co-creation and being really centered and present and super integrated, and like I was practically not here anymore and I was in another reality, I was no longer perceiving difficult people, challenges in life. Like nothing was like that. But when I had to come back down to like the 3D, I got sucked back in a little bit into like the system, the matrix and stuff, into the everything. And when you when you're focusing on it and you focusing on making money or working and dealing with people, you end up kind of operating that way. So for me personally, I'm working on, through my Saturn in Pisces return, on getting to a place where now I can integrate. It's like I've experienced both sides. How can I now operate in the 3D without blasting off into space? Okay, into 5D. I mean, I say space figuratively, guys, as a joke. But still being very present and being able to create like I used to. Like it was like bending reality completely. And I still do, but it's like different. It's like different. So guys, there are levels to this and you can experience this, right? And the way to experience it is by always focusing on your spiritual work and your spiritual practice. Okay, let's tease this side so it matches. I'm done. So there are ways, right? So meditation, breath work, all of these things are so, so key. It's not just to say it, like it's not just something like, and to me, the thing that really, the cherry on top was cleaning up the diet. Okay, because food is frequency and vibration, and what you put in you become. So you are what you eat. Do you want to eat death and be dead, or do you want to eat living food like fruits and vegetables? So again, and whoever chooses, like there's no judgment. Like I enjoyed some buffalo chicken wings week after week, like what was it? I forgot. And it's been so long, right? I went vegan when I was 21 and I haven't had a drink since I was 21, but I started drinking at a young age and it was like, I enjoyed it, like I enjoyed it. I experienced all of those shadow things. I lived in it, but then I knew my limits and I didn't allow it to like, I took my power back from all of it and I didn't want those things to like take over my life anymore because they really were running the show. And so that's when you go from conscious co-creation and conscious living to being unconscious. And so there's different programs that we can work on bit by bit. Food is another one. Addiction to food, right? Addiction to sex, addictions to media, to TV, addictions to friends and people, and affection is another one. So, it's like working through all these things, and we're all going through this in different ways, guys. But yeah. So, okay, I want to talk about the dates. So, Pluto in Aquarius enters on the 23rd of March, okay, and it's going retrograde into Capricorn on June 11th, okay? And RX in Capricorn, June 11th, 2023, goes back into Aquarius on January 20th of 2024. So it's almost like it's coming in for a little teaser. And then it wants to go back into Capricorn. This is where I'm giving you my predictions, okay? It wants to move into Capricorn to revisit. What is it revisiting? Well, my theory is the new financial systems that want to come in place. We know the banks are imploding. We know that the banks are bankrupt. Why are they bankrupt? Because they have been built on a debt system. So each country is in debt to a bigger institution, a bigger entity. And these entities go beyond the planet Earth. That's the thing that no one talks about. That's the thing no one tells us. That's the thing no one's teaching. Okay. But the reality is that it also becomes energetic debt. And so on some level, because we've allowed this, we have to respond. Okay. How are you responding? Well, there's ways that they've done this, right? Like one of them is enslaving people through birth certificates, bonds, and social security numbers, which can be seen as the mark. Okay. Some people think the mark is what's like the other stuff that's coming and stuff. And it could be that you could see it as that, right? And some people think it's already, I personally think it's already, happened or whatever. And I think that so basically, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And the reason I speak between the lines oftentimes is because I'm not going to sit here and explain every little detail on what it means. That's not what this video is for. That's not what this space is for. It's just to throw out what if you know, right? So, and also it's sowing seeds, guys. So subconsciously on some level, you'll know what I'm referring to. So these things have been used as collateral, okay? We have been used as collateral. We have been used as cattle, right? To do different things, whether you believe that we've been mining for gold for, the Naki, whatever, I'm not sure like what, but I know a lot of people speak about it's such an open thing now, right? Because they want you to believe these things. It's like anything that's open that you can speak about, like reptilians, Anunnaki, like there's reasons why, okay? Because they want your power to create. Not to say that that's not real, obviously, but what I'm saying is like the way that it's being pushed, it's like everything has like this agenda. Because let's say, for example, I'll give you an example. There is like you're the creator of the story, but there's a writer, okay, who's writing a script. So this could be an AI consciousness or just a darkness, right? That's running a simulation, right? A code has been entered, but you're the creator. You get projected, things get like sent to you by frequency, and then you create it, right? So you're told that there's this group of people or beings that they're real, they're real. Okay, fine, they're real. But now you're told all these things, and you're told these things to create a certain outcome of what that means for you. And so instead of you allowing them to, take over you realize, wait, no, like I'm the creator. I'm the winner. I'm the victor. Love has won, right? So that's just a message for someone. You'll know what I'm talking about. Okay. So anyway, so my thing, okay, so we spoke about that, yeah. With the money system. So I personally believe in the whole thing of like two worlds existing at once, because we're ascending, right? And so for some of some people who believe in ascension feel like, oh, there is no money system. There's going to be no monetary system. I'm someone who believes that there's going to be a transitional phase, okay, as we continue to ascend, because as we phase into new Earth, there's the darkness, the old timelines, and the whatever, the CPUs, the NPCs, the dark beings, the soulless ones, are the ones who just need to experience more karma. They're going to be phasing out into their own. And so more and more, and so this is why it's so important for you to stay aligned with your highest path and your highest timeline, guys, because if you're not consciously co-creating, you can get sucked in. And even as you learn things and you awaken, you can still get sucked in, right? Because you're always creating. So it's about being able to like see it, but then detach, see it, and then clear it out. Okay. And some of this is in your body. Like you'll feel it in your body energetically. Like me, as I'm saying these things, as I'm speaking, trust me, I have had to shift out of those lower timelines because we're talking about, we're acknowledging it. I felt to try to seep into my body. I've had to shift out of that and clear it out. Like to me, it's like it's somewhere else, right? Even though I'm talking about it. So that's our power as spiritual beings, you know. I call it energy work, you know. Um, because it is that. And so, okay, back to the monetary systems. So, yeah, there's a probability, right? I say this because we want to acknowledge this, right? If it does not happen, like for example, I'll give you an example. If the one whatever does not happen in my reality, I know that's because I cleared it out. But I think part of becoming aware of these things is important because if we're not aware, it's like they can just happen because they're happen like it's like on some level they're happening because this is the thing as well, guys. Like we know that love has won and we know that the light has won and all that. But then we also have to look at, this is where people say, how could you say these things? Don't you see like all the people that are dying? Don't you see all the people that are this, that are that, we do. And that's evidence that that exists. And so that's going to be the evidence that that exists. It does exist. But let's look at the other evidence. Right? And let's tap in and do what we need to do. So, okay. I don't exactly know the timing, guys. Some people are about the GCR. I've heard things about rainbow currency. There's the gold back. There's the USTN notes. There's supposed to be this thing. I personally like the idea. I'm just going to say that. I like the idea of actually having asset-backed currency, right? Something that's backed by gold that can't be manipulated, that's more stable, that's based on resources. Yes, I like that. But I also believe in a higher level, okay, I got the perfect thing. Quantum computer is another like psyop thing. I don't even want to call it psyop. I want to call it like a tricky subject because you have the divine technology computer and then you have the dark one. And this is the problem in that you're going to be seeing in society with the internet is that we have a lot of these terms that are thrown out and people regurgitate things and it gets confusing. It blurs the lines because now you're hearing about quantum computer from both sides, And is that intentional? But it's important to get clear because if you're not clear, then what are you supporting, right? Like what are you creating with your mind? So for me, I tap into the quantum computer that is of the divine. There's someone that I don't want to mention just because she is a little bit controversial. She's not on YouTube, and I think she's on she's obviously on like all the other streaming sites, the video ones. I forget the names, but she also has a website, but she is a whole different timeline. That's the thing. I feel like she's in a whole different timeline than me, so I can't even think about her or acknowledge her. But no, it's crazy because she's powerful. Like she's a powerful being, And sometimes when we are learning about these things, it can shift us. So, I cleared that out, but I think there's some truth to what she said. Yes, I do believe that resonates. It's like sometimes they'll do this too. They'll give you things that resonate and then they'll put a bunch of crap on top of it that's all fake, and that's also how they get you to trust them. So, and when I say them, I mean like the gurus or like the people that they put out to speak and get all the following and stuff, the social media following, which we're also grateful. We have to be grateful for everything, you guys, because that's how we learn. At the end of the day, we learn and then we use our own discernment. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's kind of like the readings. Oh my god. So yeah, but that's how it is. That's life. We all have free will, and we're all we're allowed. It's beautiful. It really is. And when you think about it, it's so beautiful. It's like this big art piece, this big masterpiece that God source is creating. And it's like, it's a movie. It's a movie. Is how I see it. But you can be the director of that. And that's what's beautiful, right? And it's not in a selfish ego way. That's what they've done. They've used the power. They know this. They've manipulated this. They've abused it to serve their own selfish agendas. When we're using it, light warriors and star seeds, we're using it for good. We're using it for greatness. And some of us could even get caught in the ego when it comes to that. But when you're truly of the light will always put you in check. The light will always remind you what truly matters. And as long as you are with that core principle of love and unity, you will be okay. And they're going to try to sell us. Okay, so let's talk about these predictions, period. Okay, so one of the things they're going to try to sell us is this idea of unity consciousness. I just want to also kind of let you guys know, is unity consciousness through the singularity, through merging everyone into a hive mind, to kind of put everyone into this like technology crack computer thing. And that's not natural. Okay, they're going to try to pull people into the metaverse and all that. I've known about that because through crypto and through my trading and all of that, I learned about all that. But I've been clearing that out. And so I see less of it in my reality. There's less of that. And so that's going to be a confirmation to you that you're doing the work. You know, it's like knowing these things. When sometimes when you start seeing too much of this too in your hologram, guys, like in your feeds and your social media, it means that you need to start tapping into higher timeline things. You need to start tapping into higher things and focusing on you and plugging out of that. Give it a few days and trust that the simulation will shift. You'll start seeing more light stuff, more abundance, you know, like things that are more in alignment. Because if your feed and your social media is nothing but darkness and tragedy, that's an indication that you want to shift out of that timeline, that maybe you're kind of stuck in they're trying to suck you into something negative. And again, we talk about these things because we're light warriors. We're able to acknowledge these darkness because the only way we can transmute it and clear it out is to see it. They've tried to hide it because if we don't see it and we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it. So that's basically that. So what were we just talking about though? I did mention something and I wanted to keep talking about that. It was about what was it? I forgot. It was no, it wasn't transhumanism. The singularity stuff. Yeah, so that's one of the things too with the agenda, right? It's like blurring the lines. Yeah. Like blurring the lines is also for me something that I have experienced, you know, and this does have to do with what we're going through. I feel like this next 3-year period with Saturn and Pisces is going to show this. And I'm going to get back to the Capricorn RX in just a moment with the financial system. But I want to talk to you about this really quick because there's this thing in the spiritual community, right? Where it's like you have the whole idea of masculine and feminine and, you know, integration and all these things. And then you also have like what can be seen as like, okay, knowing who you truly are as like a god, goddess, or as a being beyond the physical versus um being see, that's a tricky subject. That's why I don't even want to talk about it because it goes into the whole confusion that they're trying to create. Now, one thing I will say is, you know, leave the children alone. You know, like leave the children out of this. That's something I'll always openly say because that's a no-brainer, right? But then when you start dissecting it as you look into adults or you look into teenagers, it becomes complicated because I think it once was very simple, right? Everything fit into a binary, everything fit into the constructs that we are operating in where, you know, it was more simple and now they came out with all this other stuff. Okay, so that's another thing that maybe I'll talk about in some other video. And no judgment, like love and light, but at the end of the day, it's not so much about this is where we get where it's unfair for the innocent ones who are genuinely feeling certain things because they're just innocent bystanders who are like legitimately what they're saying they feel or are versus people who are like joining a bandwagon, a trend, or have been brainwashed basically or groomed or programmed even by their parents, by whatever they're watching. I don't know, like TV, who knows like how it really all even works, because I think there is something about the TV programming the children. I mean, we know that that happens, but there's something more. There's something more. I mean, we know about like the chemicals and the chemtrails and who knows, and we know about the hormones in the food, but I don't know. There's something more, and I know what it is. It's not. I don't want to talk about it. And it's not coming to me, and this is not the time or space for that. I feel like that is like next level And, I can't even like think about it right now. Like it's just too much. So, yeah, guys, Pluto in Aquarius, Capricorn retrograde. So we're looking at those like monetary systems to be addressed, right? Whenever there's a retrograde, a planet wants to go back to like tie up loose ends and address what needs to be addressed, right? And so the fact that it's moving into a Capricorn, it's like I feel like this is a time period, remember what I'm saying, this is my prediction, that June 11, 2023 to January 20th, right? That's 6-month period. We are going to see a shift financially in the system. We're already seeing it happen, right? Saturn's in Pisces. That's, this ending and beginning, right? It's Saturn, the financial system, money, things like this. And we're already seeing it. And then once it moves, it goes direct again in Aquarius, or it moves into Aquarius again. It's going to be in there for only 6 months. Interesting. And it's going to go retrograde again. So it's almost, and that's when the presidential election is coming on and stuff like that. If, whatever happens from there till now till then, we don't know. But assuming that there's something else there that's happening, that's going to happen until November 19th. Aquarius moves in, Pluto moves into Aquarius again on the 19th of 2024, which is around the time, right after the voting, right? So that's going to be interesting, you guys. I feel like it's like certain things are going to be revealed for sure. For sure, for sure. Like, right? And they're already being revealed. But it has to do around the money system. It has to do with, the lies. And I feel like it's going to be revealed. I really do. Because Pluto wants to destroy it to rebuild. So whether it's going to be the opportunity for the dark agendas to play out or the ones that we see as light agendas, right? It's definitely, these agendas will be pushed. It's a time where the agendas will be pushed when it comes to the financial stuff. Saturn in Pisces does bring a lot of health stuff. It's going to be in there for 3 years. So I do feel like while Saturn is in Pisces, we're going to see a lot of this medical stuff being pushed on people. More of this, like I hate to say this, but the trans stuff, right? The children, it sounds so bad. And also the people who are able to take their lives and like legal suicide and all these things, right? Medical suicide. Are going to continue to play out. Now, what's beautiful about it, right? We have to look at the flip side. And we always have to look at the positive. Is like what is the lesson and the purpose of all of this? Is that it's going to wake people up more and more, and there's going to be some sort of clarification on what is acceptable and like what is not. It's almost like it has to get really bad before it gets good, and that's, we've always known that. If you have like some sort of spiritual background, it's easy to adopt that whole mindset of it's always darkest before the dawn, or and Aquarius at that point, guys, Pluto is going to be in Aquarius, excuse me. At that point forward, no more retrograde. It's going to stay in Pluto. I mean, in Aquarius, Pluto is going to stay there until 2043. That is 19 years, guys. 19 years. So to me, this is indicating that it's time. It's time. And even though when I say that, I don't mean it's going to happen overnight, but I do feel like 2024, November 19th of that time is going to be the time where what's going to stand like a little bit longer here is going to be solidified. So I think that presidential election is going to be a big deal. Whether we still have presidential elections or not is something we have to wait and see. Whether we're going to have, no more parties. We're going to see what happens there. There's a lot of talks in certain groups about that going away. There's rumors about the 7 kings or whatever. I don't know which interestingly enough, there comes that 7 number again. I personally am at a space now, after having tapped into all these different things where I'm kind of just feeling like a lot of it's different agendas. I'm feeling like a lot of it's different agendas. I'm kind of waiting for, at this point, I'm kind of tapped more into like the solar flare. I'm tapped more into like the event type stuff and the spiritual ascension by divine decree. I'm not expecting, from God's source, I'm not expecting anyone to be the Messiah or the Savior, which now that we talk about that, that's something that will play out as well, because we know that they're planning. Okay, this is all fiction, by the way. We know that they're planning like an invasion of sorts, right? We know there's holographic technology. We know they're able to put a person, and you look at the person, you can speak to them, and you think it's a real person, and it's not. All of this stuff is there. We know about the weather modification tech. We know about, if you don't know, well, do your research, guys. Stop watching the news. Stop watching the TV, guys. It's not going to tell you anything real. So, anything that's true. But, and if it is, it's a distraction. Like, not to say that, oh, those things aren't happening, like, but all those things, like these big events and these ritualistic gatherings, guys, these are harvesting ceremonies that take place. For those of you who know, obviously, so whatever, but I just feel like putting this out there. So, because that's what it is, guys. This is a time for us to bring it out to the light. And Saturn in Pisces is a time where people are, spiritual leaders and those who are meant to lead the herd, lead the mass. I don't even want to say the masses, because a lot of the masses won't be led, don't need to be led, and will not make it through, right? It's like not in the stars, right? It's like not part of the plan. And that sounds for some people that may sound narcissistic, egoic, whatever, but it's not. You can't possibly think that every single being, there is an order. There is an order to things. There's a frequency, there's a blueprint, like, I don't know how else to put it. And we all have free will, and that there's nothing bad about those individuals or any beings, or like, for example, beings and entities like other species, right, that are not able to ascend the way human beings are. It doesn't make them less. The fact that they feed off of other energies, on the higher level, we have, like, God does not judge. That's like my belief, is like, we look at things through eyes of compassion and lens of compassion. We have to understand where the darkness is coming from. Why is the darkness feeling like it needs to kill and feed and abuse or whatever it does? Okay. And because when we get caught in the negative darkness, we feed it more, like, oh my God, it's terrible. It's like, that's detachment, and it takes a lot. Like, I'm not saying it happens overnight. It's not supposed to happen overnight, but it's something that we can consciously work on. And it's called, to me, I call it coming to peace, being at peace and coming to terms with everything, especially those of you who are awakening more and more. I do think that the emotions and the anger is good fuel. It is good fuel. It gets us going. It gets us to like stand up. You don't want to just like allow it, because that's the other side of it too. When we get too spiritual, too accepting of it all, it's like we end up not doing anything, and we're just waiting around for the end days and to fly away into the sky. It's like, that's the other side of it. And so it's that middle ground. It's like, how can I use this energy and hone it in, and to make me like fight and stand up, but not through, like, it's a light warrior, right? That's the true that's like a perfect example. It's fighting through love and standing for truth and justice. And also, I think that our definition of truth I see it becoming a lot more flexible and open. I think Pluto and Capricorn kept us very rigid. It's a cardinal energy. I love cardinal energy, but now we're in a fixed energy. And I think this is a time where, even though fixed energy is also, it's rigid, but in a different way. I wouldn't call it rigid. I would call it more like structured. Pluto in Aquarius is about structure. It's about new world, new beginning. And if you guys were watching the Saturn in Aries reading, you'll know that I touched on, Saturn in Aries, which is happening in 2026, being the time where we get to really do the groundwork and rebuild. So the question I have here is, what's happening from 2024 to 2026, what's happening from November 19th to when Saturn moves into Aries? I would like to know, because I think there's going to be some shit going down in those 2 years. I think that from here till then, they're being very like hush hush. They want people distracted. They don't want people to know what's going on, to know what they're trying to do. But the thing is that if you're someone who believes that there are, like, 'cause some people, there's beliefs on that there's another group that's going to save the day. And, you know, I subscribe to that, but I'm the type of person where I can say, oh, I subscribe, but deep inside, I subscribe to one thing and one thing alone. And that's God's source, right? That's love. That's unity. So I'm not going to be sucked into no group, even though I'm part of it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just one of those things. It's because, yeah. When we box ourselves in, we create separation. It's really interesting to see someone's mind operate that way. Like, sometimes I fascinate myself, and that's not to sound weird or, it's just crazy. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, like, how am I like this? But then I just realized, like, hey, it is what it is. And that's another thing for my chosens, real quick. Star season chosens, people will try to make you feel bad, right? You already know this. Stay tuned, okay, for messages coming your way. Yeah, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. They just don't. Yeah. Anyone who is also will not ever think of you in that way. Because, and it's not even, who cares, right? Who cares, guys? Who cares what people think? So, anyway. Okay, my loves. My love, my beautiful love. So, I'm curious to know what's gonna happen between then. I think that that's when I feel like it's the turning point, right? With like this, yeah, you can call it the split, but it's really where we're gonna start seeing the sides. Because think about it, like, I think that's when we're really gonna see it. Like, we're gonna see, and I don't even want to think, like, say the things that a lot of people are theorizing, but some people have speculated that there could be like a divide in the country or whatever. But it really is that. And I think that it's gonna play out because it's part of, you know, what needs to play out. It's in the, whether you believe in the Bible and what's in there and you take it literal or subliminally, it's happening. You know what I mean? Like, if you believe in other texts and other teachings, it's happening. Like, it's all there, right? The evidence is there. So 2024 to 2026, the evidence is here. 2024 to 2026 is the time that's going to be. And when you think about it, 2024 is number 8, right? Death and rebirth, Pluto energy, Scorpio energy, to 2026, which is 10, completion, right? Ending for the new beginning, which is when it moves into Aries. So guys, this stuff is like legit, right? With the mathematics, the numerology, the astrology. So that's my prediction. I'm not going to sit here and like tell you exactly what's going to happen, but I think, for example, like, everything I mentioned, we're going to see it play out, right? These different things are going to continue. The difference is that there's an opportunity to start fresh, and there's an opportunity for the new earth to really come in 2026, is what I believe, unless something happens before then. Because if there's an event or there's a solar flash, like many people believe, I believe it too, that it's possible. So then that would hopefully wipe out a lot of the darkness and the technology and stuff like that. And then that would be awesome. But if it takes till 2026, I'll take it. Okay. I'll take it. You know what I mean? I'll do what I need to do until then to put myself where I want to be. Like, that's just what it is. Right. Like, I'm not going to just sit around and wait. That's what I did. I did that for like 2 years. And then I remember looking, I'm like, what like, I lived off of my savings. Like, what did I really do? Like, nothing happened. And that was when I was like 21. So, I learned that, and it's not negative. It's not that I went negative. I just felt like, how can I like be in between Okay. And I feel like that's what it is. Like right now we're in between for many people. I mean, I know I wouldn't say I'm in between, but collectively I do feel like it's like the in between time. Okay. Because Pisces, when you think about Saturn and Pisces, it is that like that, you know, it's that split for me. It's the two energies, the two fish, right? Two fish. So it's two worlds. It's two worlds existing at once, guys. The light and the dark. So definitely like the video, you guys. I haven't said that once. Like the video if you're resonating, if you're enjoying it. Okay. Let's keep going. So basically, let's see what else. So it's gonna be in there for quite some time. Saturn goes into Taurus. Yeah, I do feel like I'm calling that whole money shift. Okay, financial system shift. New financial stuff can happen this year. Okay, I feel like it's this year. Okay. There's also an opportunity in 2024. Yeah, so from now till 2024 is when this is happening, the financial stuff. And then November 19th moving forward is when it's going to be solidified, okay? And we're going to see the new reality, okay, which is both, like we said, the new earth as well as the dystopian one. Okay, if that's how you want to put it. And I just feel like it's going to play out like that until 2043. Okay, that sounds so like dark, but you have to realize that there's free will. Okay, I would say it's going to play out until the solar flash or the event or whatever, if that happens. Until it's time for us to really shift. Again, the more, I also want to put this out there that even though when I say it's playing out till 2043, I want you to also keep in mind that it's going to be, the higher timeline is going to be materializing more and more. Okay, and then maybe that one somewhere else. And the more you ascend, the less you'll perceive the lower one, and then the lower one won't perceive the higher one, guys. So I feel like that's what's happening in 2026. It's like from 2026 to 2030, and I'm going to tell you something about 2030 in just a moment. I think this is the big moment. Give me 1 second. 2030 is going to be the defining moment, and I'll tell you guys why. Okay, so February 14th, 2026, Saturn moves into Aries. It moves into Taurus 2 years later, okay, April 13th, right? By the way, February 14th is the number 5, which equals change. I think it's the perfect time for change to come in. The 13th is 4, which is rebuilding, right? It's Cancer energy, it's the foundation. And so April 13, 2028, by then, 4 years will have passed from the 2024 period. So if the election thing doesn't fully shift us in 2024, which I feel like something's going to happen, right? A big shift in the way that the whole political game is set up. There's also, I feel like, shifts, like we mentioned, financially, right? April 13, 2028, Taurus, that's when I feel like it's really going to solidify. I see a lot of things happening, with the land. There could be something over land, fighting over land, war over land, or something like this, if you want to get into the darker side. But in the light side, I think when we talk about the new earth, it's like building the land, rebuilding the earth, right? From Aries, Saturn and Aries to Saturn and Taurus. So let's remember that as things play out in the external hologram, my light workers and starseeds, you have an opportunity to continue to create your goals and dreams and to build them out and manifest them, especially in Saturn and Taurus. So with Saturn and Taurus, there's going to be karmic scales balancing out when it comes to finances, assets, and land. For that time period, okay? And that's going to play out until 2030. June 1st, you guys, this is not, if that's not another sign or something, then I don't know what is, but this is a big sign, guys. This is, to me, marking the end of the end and the beginning of the new earth. And when I say the end of the end, I mean like some sort of ending is happening, whether it's the actual matrix coming apart, and again, we're tapping into our highest timeline. So, because that lower timeline might continue to play out somewhere else, right? From here to 2030, they're going to, I feel, okay, if we don't ascend by then, or there isn't this big shift by then, that they're going to try different things to grab who they can and suck people in and stuff, right? But June 1st, guys, 6/01/2030 is 6 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 12, guys. 12 is completion in the zodiac, but also 1 and 2 is the masculine and the feminine coming together for 3, which is integration and ascension. But that can also be seen as the merging of what they want for their weird lore stuff, which no judgment. Okay. I see that being the split point, like the permanent split point. I know it sounds weird. So what does that mean? I feel like there could be a big event. I feel like there could be some sort of, we've heard rumors about, I've seen stuff, you know, that I think is probable, you know? But again, I tap into like the highest truth, the most divine, the most high vibrational one, because, you know, that's all I can do at the end of the day for myself and for those of us who are also going there, meant to be experiencing this. 246, that is not a coincidence. That is a synchronicity. Same thing, it adds up to 12. And 12 for me is one of my guide numbers. So anything that adds up to 12. And 12 is spiritual death and rebirth, ascension, right? So that is not a coincidence. And what even more is Saturn in Gemini. Saturn in Gemini. What happened the last time that Saturn was in Gemini? We spoke about it, 2001. So what does that tell you guys? What can you expect? Is this the moment that humanity shifts? Is this the moment that something finally comes to an end and gets taken out? Some control mechanism, some technology that's been keeping us asleep? All right. So now we move on to, you know, then after that you have 2032, which is Cancer, Saturn in Cancer, 2034 Leo, 2035 Cancer again, Leo again, and then moves into Virgo in 2036. I personally believe that because the rebuilding is starting in 2024, Saturn in Aries, what does this mean? This means rebuilding, you know, and like, you know, permaculture, communities, right? Animal sanctuaries. The same way that the darkness is trying to control the land and trying to grab as much as they can, trust and believe that there are life forces and there are beings out there and people, human beings, that are also creating and doing what they need to do to secure positive things for humanity. I truly believe as well that there is I know I said it and I mentioned it and I said, you know, it could be a whole agenda thing, but I do believe, not necessarily believe that there's a hero, you know, necessarily. I think we're the heroes. We're all the heroes, right? But there is a side of beings on the ground, just like the other ones, like, so in the military or whatever. I don't exactly know, like, you know, I don't want to put anything out there, but people that have some sort of physical authority that are not infiltrating, but like moving in places and have some sort of control. Because the reason I believe this, or it has to be a group of people or someone, you know, is because the darkness would have already done what they had wanted to do a long time ago, right? It hasn't been able to, mostly because humanity, or enough of us, have been awakened, but also because I feel like right now it's because it's almost like the darkness is being given an opportunity to do what it needs to do before it leaves. Okay. So that's that, you guys. For those of you who resonate and follow, thank you so much. I know a lot of people won't fully grasp what I'm referring to, and that's okay. This is just something I felt really called to do because it's important. You know, we're going through a major shift. This is happening for, you know, this isn't just an ordinary, like, little planetary move, right? And speaking of planetary, like, yeah, that's a whole nother video. So I think that from 2020, right, from Aries to Virgo, right, 2036. So that's 10 years, you guys. 10 years, right? Excuse me, 12 years. Saturn moves into Aries. Oh no, 2026, 10 years. But it leaves Virgo in 2039. So it is kind of like 12 years, right? 13 years. I think of 13 as the number 4, right? Again, Cancer energy, the 4th house. It's the foundation. So this is a time to build the foundation for the new earth. It's 13 years of really building and creating. And a lot of us are going to come into alignment. We're going to be positioned from now till then. I feel like from now till 2020, till Saturn moves into Aries in 2026, a lot of us will be relocating geographically, coming together more, getting ready to work together to create these spaces and these communities. Now, whether funding comes in or whatever, if you believe in that, which I personally do, like, why not? As long as it's serving the greatest good, then that's amazing. And I think there will be, even regardless of that, guys, I believe that of, you know, the new, like any of you who are into the GCR or believe in that, I think that beyond that, right, like I always create like backup plans, right, in my belief system and in my mind that'll still get us to the end of what we want. And so beyond that, I feel like there will be divine assistance, there will be divine support, okay, that will support us in creating these things. And a lot of us that are chosen in starseeds, like, you don't know, like, some of you may know and some of you don't have an idea yet of how truly powerful and integral you are in this whole thing. You may see yourself as the nobody right now, as someone who is maybe broke or barely making it, or, you know, someone who's whatever. You might see yourself as someone who's just like everyone else, even though you know that spiritually you're like different or special or whatever. But what I mean is, like, in the physical realm, you have a powerful role, guys, especially, it doesn't matter your age, but I also wanted to say, especially for anyone that, you know, and we have to pay homage to everyone who's allowed us to get here. But just know that you're powerful, you're important, you know, regardless of what your role is, because everyone is going to have different roles. Some people are going to have roles in more of a monetary way and authoritarian way, whereas other people will have roles in the groundwork, you know, in the land. Other people will have roles in different spaces, like the new educational systems, right? The relearning and reprogramming systems. Everyone has a purpose. We all have a role, okay? Spiritual teachers, you know, there's so many things. So these things are going to be shifting over Pluto and Aquarius, because Aquarius is the collective energy and Pluto is I heard destroyer and bringer of life. So it's also very deep. It's very occult, very psychic, very spiritual. It's a time to shift out of the lower timeline. It's a time to really create and manifest what you want. And if you're someone who resonates and you're someone who's on that page, you'll know what I mean, and you'll know that it's a reality, okay, that we're in and that you're tapped into. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Libra, you know, we have Saturn in Libra in 2039. Pluto will still be in Aquarius at that time. Again, that's another air element. What's going to happen then? I don't really know. Is that the cutoff? Is that the time where, what is that? Like, what time period? What is that? It's 2039 is a 5. But then if you add 5 to that, it's 10, which is 1 plus September, which is 9, is 10 again, and that's 1. So the ending, the completion, and the new beginning. The new beginning. I know it sounds weird because I keep saying new beginning, and we're always having these new beginnings, but it's because new beginnings are big and small, right? And sometimes we have a lot of little new beginnings that lead us to the like more solidified permanent change, if you know, if that makes sense. And I think that's going to be a powerful time. Libra is all about justice. You know, we're in a 7-year now. Libra is ruled by the number 7, or it's equated to that. And it's about harmony and balance as well, and the greatest good of all when it's in alignment. So I think that's a beautiful, beautiful number, right? To experience maybe some sort of like permanent shift. And I know this sounds like out there and stuff, but for those of you who want to ascend and things like this into the new earth, I feel like that could be a cutoff point. You know, it is a cardinal energy. We know Cancer is cardinal, Capricorn's cardinal, and so is Aries. And we're already, you know, Aries is marking this new beginning, okay, in 2026. And Libra is the opposition. It's the halfway point. Like, I don't think we'll have to wait so long to, you know. So those are my predictions, you guys. Now, again, whether the darker agendas and things are still existing simultaneously, we'll have to wait and see. But either way, you know that being aware of these things will allow you to have free will and to choose what you want. Do you want to support organic life, natural life, God, source, creation, or do you want to support AI and technology and stuff like this that is being used for ill and harm and things like this, because we could use it for good. But the thing is that, you know, for great things and for our benefit as human beings. But the thing is that where we are today and age, it's almost like it's taken over. Okay, in a way, it's taken over, and there's gonna be a point where human beings, there might even be a point where there's a really later phase of awakening ones. Like there might even be a point where it gets to a point where we're simultaneously coexisting, right? You have certain countries or places or spaces on the planet that are in the new earth. And then for maybe 12 years, there's going to be a whole thing of people that are in the dystopian, but they have to go through that, you know, to say no. And then they're going to come and join, or who knows, guys. But these are my predictions, and I hope that you enjoyed them. I hope that they were of service to you and they were fun and informative. And if you resonate, please let me know in the comments. If you guys know anyone who would resonate, please share the video with them. And I want to invite you guys to the Lena Divine YouTube channel, where you guys can connect more with me and have more of these. I don't even want to call them high level conversations, because I know that's 19 keys thing. I want to call them like, I'm going to think of something that we can call these conversations, deep level conversations, or like higher minded conversations. But the thing is, like, part of being higher minded, which always reminds me of Sagittarius, Gemini axis, is the lower mind is so important to become higher minded. Well, especially once you've fallen into the darkness, because obviously when you're up there, you know, it is what it is. But so, you know, supposedly, if you believe in this, I do. I believe that, you know, Source chose to experience all this, to fall from grace. Okay. And now the fall from grace can be seen as like that whole idea of Source like splitting itself off and creating, you know, this polarity or this other realm, you know, depending on what you believe in. Some people believe that it's split off in the seventh dimension, or there was some sort of distortion in the seventh dimension or the eighth, or there's something about that seventh dimension though that's very important. So anyhow, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I will not be monetizing this video. So if you guys would like to donate or anything, you can send me a Cash App or a donation to Venmo, Cash App, PayPal to Lena's Divine Tarot. Or you can also send me a Cash App to Catalina Divine, whatever, you know, works for you, if you want to support and donate. Okay, because I don't believe that I'm going to be monetizing this video. So let's go ahead and I'm going to talk about each sign now. This is just for fun. This is just, you know, obviously it's such a big like transit, you know, over the next 20 years that it's like, you know, in the short term, I feel like it's like these energies are not going to like play out overnight, but I feel like they're going to play out as an overall theme, like the arching theme that we can each experience in our personal lives and journeys. Okay, will be playing out. So we're going to talk about that for each sign based on sign, and this is based on where exactly Pluto is going to be transiting. Okay, so for my beautiful Aries, okay, for Aries, you guys have Pluto transiting your 11th house. This is powerful. This is really nice, because you're being given an opportunity through this transit to rebuild yourself on a public scale. You know, you have an opportunity to create a community, to be a part of a community, to be a leader within a community. Okay, to be someone who's seen as like a leader. Okay, in the public arena, whatever that means for you. Oh, look. So cool. I just saw my life path. It doesn't have to be, it can be, this can manifest itself in any area. This could be, you know, also for you, you might become, again, this is a 20-year transit. So for some of you, you could become like one of the innovators in technology. Okay. This could also be humanitarianism. This could be spirituality as well for some of you, like being spiritual leaders. But this isn't anything that's in the, and it's gonna be also based on what other signs you have. So definitely watch your other signs to get like a full picture. But it's this idea of like, how do I show up on the main stage in the world, and how am I leading people forward? Okay, so this is for anyone with Aries energy. Beautiful. I really like that for you, Aries. So is there anything else? Because I always do this, and then when I watch back, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I said this or that. I always remember things after. I know, but I didn't have time to write things down for this video. But Aries, friends are going to be shifting a lot for you as well. You're going to be meeting a lot of new people, right? Pluto in Aquarius, though, there may be some sort of mystery or dark thing around certain people around you, or you might come off as mysterious, or there might be a sense of wanting to keep some sort of like secrecy. You could also be like joining some sort of secret club, secret group of people. You could be involved in something secretive. There could be some contracts that you have to sign off of when it comes to some sort of work that you'll be doing. This is also environmentalism. Okay. What else? Yeah, this is over the next 20 years, you guys. So it's a big deal. I see also you being able to solidify something for yourself for the long-term plan, like, assuming that we're still part of this whole world, right? Okay, for those of you that will continue to be a part of this whole guys, this is so funny because I feel like when I do these types of videos, I shift in between like timelines because I have to also come back to the 3D. So basically what I want to say was, this is a time for you to secure the bag. Okay, secure the long-term plan, guys. The 11th house is more so like our investment portfolio. It's going to be online stuff, crypto, e-com. It's a time for you to get involved. It's a time for you to be a part of the technical world. Technology is not all bad, and I hope that I didn't sound like that when I was doing all the other messages prior to this. It's about the forces behind it, the power behind it, and what we do with it, right? So I see that being pretty cool for you, Aries. Yeah, great time. I think you'll be doing a lot of big things. So Taurus, you have Pluto in Aquarius in your 10th house. Amazing. A lot of you are going to be at the forefront of what's happening financially. Some of you might end up moving into like financial sectors or being involved in, real estate, or you might have become entrepreneurs over the next 20 years, or business owners, or like CEOs, or like executives, start your own companies. A lot of you are going to be creating this type of wealth for yourselves over the next 20 years. It's really powerful too. It's about your legacy. A lot of you are going to be focusing on creating generational wealth. Okay, is what I can see here. There is also, because Pluto does deal with the hidden world, and it does deal with things that are kept secret and need to be revealed. There may be some tumultuous energy surrounding this for you. So like, you could be going through ups and downs with finances, especially in the first 3 years of this, while Aquarius is retrograding into Capricorn. Like, you could experience like changes or things that you have to revisit, or, you have to kind of address your finances, right? But it's about creating something long-standing, kind of like Aries. Okay. I like that a lot for you. This is a time to also like really build yourself financially over the next 20 years for those of you that want that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Okay. And then Gemini, you guys have Pluto in Aquarius in your 9th house. And this is really beautiful because you're being given an opportunity to expand yourselves on a mental level to a whole new reality, to a whole new plane, right, of existence. Many of you will be going really deep within self. You're going to be expanding even more on a spiritual level with your knowledge base as well, obtaining more information, learning deeper truth, Gemini. You're going to be waking up even more, right? There's going to be a lot of shifts in your belief system, right? 9th house, and if you're very religious, that could be shifting. Again, things are going to be revealed moving forward. But I feel like also a lot of you could end up like moving into the spaces of spirituality, of teaching, of, higher education, or like becoming, like, some of you are going to become the scholars of the future, like the teachers of the future. Some of you are going to become, these leaders in this sector, in this space. So I feel like Pluto and Aquarius, like, who are you becoming? And so that's kind of what I'm doing for each sign, right? Again, watch your sun, moon, and rising. That's going to give you a full picture of how you can work with this. Like, for example, you could be someone who has Gemini and maybe Taurus in your chart. And so what that would show me with the 10th house and the 11th is that you're being given an opportunity to create a career around teaching, or a career around spirituality, a career where you get to travel, right? 9th house, there's a lot of travel. There's a lot of freedom coming in for you, Gemini. And Pluto gives us an opportunity to rebuild. So like I said, with Capricorn, at first it might not feel that way, but I think that if you've been getting little glimpses or tastes of this, or you're going to be over the next 3 years, once Pluto stations into Aquarius, like fully on November 19th of 2024, you're going to fully be in this life where you get to travel more, where you get to like experience what you're meant to be doing on a higher level. Okay. And if it's not travel and it's not related to the material, some of you might be on a more spiritual path. So Cancer, my beautiful Cancers, you have Pluto in Aquarius, transiting the 8th house. So this is going to be really interesting because Pluto's natal house is the 8th house, right? It rules Scorpio. So I feel like, well, I heard like inheritance. So the first thing that came to mind is money, inheritance, death and rebirth. There could be something like this. Some of you might be coming into money. Now, this doesn't have to be just through family. It could be through marriage over the next 20 years. This is about you coming into money. It's about you working with other people's money. Some of you might get into real estate, right? Some of you might become investors. Some of you might learn about certain money markets. Okay. Now, obviously, we want to see where all of this goes and what's going to happen in the world, but just know that these are the overarching themes with this house. So I'm reading based on the astrology right now. Okay. Depending on how things unfold, regardless, okay, I feel like this is also a very transformative time. Like some of you are going to be, I heard some of you are going to be not only going through deep transformation within yourself and revealing certain things about yourself, but you're going to be accepting yourselves, like accepting your shadow, accepting your sexuality, the side of you that's more like sexual. Now whether you're on the higher timeline or lower timeline, it's going to play out differently, because the higher timeline would be in a more divine way, whereas lower timeline would be something along the lines of prostitution, okay, but not in a, again, I think even something like that could be kind of done in an okay way. I don't know. I really don't. No, that's controversial. But what I mean is, like, this is that energy of like more darker things. Like maybe you have friends that are darker, or you come across people that are just a little bit darker. Okay. Oh my God, I forgot to say for Gemini. Oh gosh, I forgot to say that. Yeah, you could be doing something with friends here. Oh, well, for everyone, right? It's about collaborating and working together. But what I do see here as well, Cancer, is like an energy of, okay, by the way, whatever I said about that, by the way, is not for everyone. That's like a thing that could happen with the energy, right? It could be something where, you make something that was once dark into something beautiful and divine. It's like maybe, a shift in turning like the dark feminine into the divine feminine, right? Not only for yourselves, but in this world and society, Cancer, you're going to be healing as well, healing the world, healing humanity through the work that you're doing, through your spiritual work. And for many of you, there's an opportunity here for a lot of greatness and a lot of big things. If you have goals, it's a very great time to get them done and accomplish them. There may be a lot of endings and beginnings before you find your footing in something that you're meant to do here. But trust and believe that when you do, it's going to bring you so much power, because Pluto brings us power and it's in Scorpio. So this is actually really, really impressive. I think that you may have been going through a lot of death and rebirth. Wow, I just saw my life path again. I think that you may have been going through a lot of death and rebirth. There may have been a lot of financial instability in your life, Cancer, or recently, or some sort of changes. But this is shifting. Okay, this is going to fully shift for you. And I feel like when it does, that rebirth is going to be unbreakable. It's going to support you moving forward in the 20 years after that. Okay. If we're still around and all that, right? Because it's then moving into the 9th house. I feel like you're going to be, this sounds so crazy, but for my beautiful Cancers, there's a sense of like financial freedom as well. Okay. Obviously you can experience this at any point, guys. I'm just giving you the overall energy for the next 20 years. You could experience this next year, tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, right? It depends on what you're doing, your life, your destiny, your trajectory, the work you've done, the seeds that you've sown. I'm just reading the astrology, and I'm just reading like the overall theme here of like the energies that that will be playing out for you, okay? Like based on your big three. Sun, moon, rising. It's just something you can tap into and expect. So anyway, Cancer, all the best to you. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? I feel like entrepreneurial endeavors, Cancers have a beautiful opportunity to really make something out of themselves. Okay, so in the 3D sense, obviously, because you're more than enough the way you are. So thank you, Cancer. All right, Leo, beautiful Leo's 7th house. So Pluto's in Aquarius in your 7th. Interesting. Yeah, relationships, are going to be transformed here. There may be some sort of power play issues in relationship, Leo. Some of you could be finding yourselves either in abusive situations or putting an end to abusive situations. Pluto can be like that, Pluto and Scorpio, right? But this is Pluto and Aquarius. So it could play out with friendships, but it could also play out with relationships in general because it's 7th house energy. Overall, though, it's you bringing balance, justice, and harmony into your life when it comes to your network, your colleagues, your partners, your coworkers, your friends. I just feel like, so I see you going through major shifts. So some of you could be like moving away from friends or moving towards a new community altogether over the next 20 years. It's like really finding yourselves coming into alignment with who you're meant to be and where you're meant to be or who you're meant to be with, right? For some of you, Leo, this is coming into alignment with that soulmate, with that twin flame. Okay, so that's really nice. But like I feel like your stance in the world, like for many of you, Leo, is something around like some of you might actually have like careers or do something or want to be a part of something surrounding I heard legal system, justice, but also like there's something here about like beauty, like I don't know, like Venusian type things, right? Like this is about the finer things in life. Like there's something here about you being able to create a life for yourself where you are able to enjoy life's finer things. So like a lot of dining out, a lot of travel, a lot of romance, connection, sensual sensory pleasure and sensory experiences. If this is something you want, you're being offered an opportunity to really create this and experience this over the next 20 years. Okay. So that's really nice as well. So for Virgo with the Pluto energy, I like this a lot for you. It's transiting your 6th house. So yeah, it's transiting your 6th house, which is your natal house. So I like this because, you're being given an opportunity, I feel like, to transform yourself fully into something that you've always wanted to become. It's about like you having a goal or an expectation, not an expectation, but like a goal or something you want to become or create. And it's about you making this happen. Okay. I feel like a lot of you may become healers or you are healers or you want to be a healer. I feel like the way you're going to show up in this world and like your stance in the public arena could be something surrounding health and healing, right? 6th house. A lot of you might do research or you might be researchers or something here about like doing extensive work in this area of life. Okay, in society as well, like something about writing, okay, communicating, researching. Mercury energy, a lot of you could actually start traveling a lot more over the next 20 years. Like some of you could really manifest more travel. And I know it sounds kind of weird after everything I just spoke about, but I do also feel like we're going to be having more like ability to travel with the advancements in technology, like the different types of aircraft that we'll be driving, different things like this, or just, not to get too far out, but like cars and things like this. Something about you guys being able to work with this energy or like, I don't know. And again, this is archetypal energy, guys, and this is such a broad energy. So it's not necessarily like only you, like no, but it is about like what you can tap into and like what you can experience over the next 20 years. A lot of healing is what I would say. A lot of healing, right? On a deep, deep level. Pluto, 6th house. Maybe there's something about friendships, very similar to like Leo. I feel like a lot of you can be experiencing a whole new environment or group of people around you, you know, like coming into alignment with your tribe and things like this. So that's really nice. There's something here about like sexuality as well. Something about your relationship to sex and the way you connect with yourself or with other people. Obviously, everyone's on different pages. So some of you might be on some sort of higher timeline when it comes to that. Others of you might be more into like the lust, but everything's like valid. And also there's something about sacred sexuality or learning or meeting someone that you can experience some sort of more like spiritual connection with when it comes to sex. Okay. Just because of that Pluto energy. I do feel like secrets and things like that will be revealed, and you're just going to like not hide anymore. You know, especially when it comes to how you're seen in the world, there's something that you're going to be like bringing out or something over the next 20 years. But again, this is you becoming. It's like you working disciplinedly and being consistent. And also it's a beautiful time to like problem solve. I feel like you guys will definitely be in your element, and people will come to you, okay, in your day-to-day life. And like people more than ever are going to like lean on Virgo for like support in many areas of life. Okay. So Libra, you have Pluto in Aquarius in the 5th house. I do see there being a lot of shifts for you surrounding, you know, creativity, romantic life, something about your stance in the world here publicly or through friends. Like you might meet someone through friends, or the way you'll meet your person is through like socializing. This could also be like I do feel like when I say your person, I mean your twin flame or your soulmate if you're not already with them. There's also beautiful energy here for like exploration, creativity, entrepreneurial endeavors, you know, becoming self-employed or being your own boss or creating something here. Leading your own path forward as well is really nice, Libra. Now, I do feel like you could experience some sort of like, for some of you, if you like are in some sort of relationship that isn't serving, there could be some sort of like upheaval or just like a lot of ups and downs. Some of you might experience like these endings and beginnings in relationship quite a bit over the first like 3 years of it before you find this long-term connection. I feel like once Aquarius moves fully into November 19th, something is going to solidify itself. And it doesn't have to be a relationship. Again, obviously, it doesn't have to be that. It could also be like a career, a business, an entrepreneurial goal. Something's going to really materialize for you in 2024, by the end of 2024, that will stand the test of time. So that's really nice, my beautiful Libra. Scorpio, you have Pluto in Aquarius in the 4th house. This is quite interesting because Pluto is your chart ruler. I'm sorry, your ruler in, okay. But I'm sorry, guys, I'm a little bit tired all of a sudden. That means to me that this, yeah, okay. So, and then you have it in your 4th, okay. So there could be a lot of like endings and beginnings here with family. There could be like some sort of shifting where you're like now able to create your own family for some of you, or there's a shift in power within the family that you're already in. So there could be like a shift in something where you're going to be coming into some sort of power, but I also feel like it's letting go of power. You might find your power, Scorpio, through actually like working with and collaborating and being a part of a group or a team with a family member. You might build your foundation or legacy by partnering with a family member, right? Or building that family and then having your family create that for you. So for some of you, it's like your kids over the next 20 years will be building something big here for you. I would definitely check out their signs here. That's really nice. I see something about family, like family's going to be emphasized for you for sure. And also it's like you coming to a more like emotionally fulfilled state and like more stable in some way. So if something has been off over the last 20 years, you know, or it has been like difficult for you, it's going to be balancing itself out. I know that sounds so vague, and it's like it is a vague energy because this is an overall like theme that sometimes it's so broad that it's in the background. We don't even realize it's playing out, right? Like like for me, when I look at the 10th house, that's where Pluto was for me over the last 20 years or so, or however long it was in there. I don't know the exact dates. I think it was only 12 years. I don't think it was 20 years. I don't even know how long Pluto was in Capricorn. But what I do know is, like, when I think about it, I guess, yeah, there was a lot of like power play, control, a lot of financial stuff. Like, my life has just been centered around money and finances and career, and like the paternal figures in my life, which were all maternal, pretty much. And how everyone in my life was so like entrepreneurial and just like business women, business owners, career oriented. Like, it was just very like, and I know that sounds like so general and it could be the case for everyone, but when I really think about it, like there's a big Capricornian theme that was playing out, a 10th house theme, excuse me, and Capricorn. For me, yeah, I could see how. And yeah, and I feel like it's been playing out till this very day. Like, everything I've been learning about and moving towards in my life has been that. So that's how these things can play out, guys. I just want to put that out there. But Scorpio, I hope that was helpful in some way or just fun to listen to. I really like that for you, Scorpio. There's also an opportunity to secure some real estate, to secure a long-standing home, long-time home, to build a home as well, to get into real estate, to learn more. And if you are, I see you working in a group or community or a team. Something also for you guys is caretaking, homemaking, not babysitting, teacher, anything like this, Scorpio. Working with children, with family, working with women, working for women. It's something about women-owned businesses. So anything like feminine related. So it's about you getting in touch as well with the feminine energy and the feminine side of society. So really supporting this in the world over the next 20 years. Okay. But it might not really activate until 2026, right? Because it's going to be going in and out of Capricorn. So my beautiful Sagittarius, you have Pluto in Aquarius transiting the 3rd house. So this is really interesting, right? It's beautiful. It's your opposition. And it's nice because this has to do with a lot of learning and growing, a lot of growth, a lot of information, a lot of gaining deeper truth and knowledge and wisdom, and transforming your beliefs and transforming yourself. Okay. For many of you, there's also something here about travel. There's something here about school, learning, teaching. So you could be involved in any of these areas when it comes to the public sector. A lot of you, very much like Gemini, could be at the forefront of this, regardless where you have it in your chart, where you're like speaking up or you're guiding and teaching others. There's also this beautiful energy for those of you that want to start a business or build a business, because Pluto is that builder energy, that rebirth energy, Aquarius. So this could be something that's really going to benefit society, or that's going to depend largely on maybe online technologies and things like this, where like digital stuff, over the next 20 years, where you will be able to monetize something here and like build and create. Okay, something about artistry as well. Like if you're creative or an artist, that'll be really nice here. And there's something here also about dating. So there could be a lot of transformation in your dating life. Like Pluto might bring a lot of like Plutonian type of lessons for you in love, in dating. So like secrets, control, power, whatever. But all of it's meant to transform you. All of it's meant to make you and to support you on your journey before, whether it's with someone you're already with or someone new, that could play out. So just keep that in mind. But I think that these energies can also play out for you with siblings. Aquarius is our older siblings. Gemini is like our younger siblings. It's also our friends. So there's definitely something here about your social life shifting over the next 20 years. And I feel like your environment as well, or the people around you. So that's very interesting. Okay. Capricorn, you have Pluto in Aquarius transiting your 2nd house. Very interesting. So you have like the same energy as Taurus, where there's this focus on finances, on long-term stability, and the work that you do. And it's how you are working with in society, how you're showing up or what you have to offer the world. Some of you are going to be making money through community, working in a community or building community. Others of you, this is having to do with land, something about purchasing land. You might have this opportunity over the next 20 years if it's something you want. Others of you might get into real estate as it pertains to land specifically. But this is also beautiful, Capricorn, because it's about, monetizing technology, right? Second house, 11th house. It's Pluto wanting to, support you with keeping up with the times, you could say. And a lot of you might find yourselves in these spaces. Not so much, like I keep saying to everyone, not so much like now or next year, but like from November, you could already be involved, but I feel like November 19th, 2024, moving on, because that's when Pluto really stations in Aquarius and it's going to stay there for like almost 20 years. That's when it's going to be the time that's when it's really going to solidify and really manifest or materialize for you, where you will start seeing some sort of life-changing big shift, right? Pluto, success in something or transformation in something surrounding your career, or more so the work that you do, how you make money, right? Second house. I do also see like things being balanced out. So anything that needs to go will go, especially in partnerships and romantic partnerships. If something's not serving you, it will go. If you are with your soulmate or your twin or, someone by your side, that you want to do life with for the long haul, there will be a lot of things that will play out. But know that these things that come out and these things that are coming out of the darkness, right? Pluto energy, are meant to be transmuted into the light. So it's all about this foundation that you want to create. And I see you having someone by your side, essentially, that's going to support you. So partnership, right? Beautiful. Okay, so Aquarius, you have Pluto in Aquarius in your first house. Beautiful. This is a powerful time for transformation when it comes to the self. A lot of you might be really focusing on yourselves over the next 20 years. Maybe spending less time in community and with friends and wanting to be more so with self or be a part of a community where you're with people that are very focused on themselves, like so solopreneur. You can find yourself becoming, for some of you, like I heard some sort of like creator or inventor or something. I also see some of you like over the next 20 years, like finding a way to live your life very like independently, maybe outside of the norm, right? In a way that's very innovative. Some of you are going to be getting into technology and learning more about these things and freeing yourselves. I heard digital nomads. Some of you might actually be first in line to sign up for some sort of AI technology in your body, it's because it is that physical body. Others of you might end up, yeah, I just totally saw someone like with like a cyborg like face, half cyborg face, like down the line. But that's I don't know why that popped to mind. But others of you, this is also really nice because to me it reminds me of like the same energy as Aries. Like I feel like a lot of you are going to be at the forefront of creating these new worlds and new systems, regardless of which one it is. So New Earth, for example, like a lot of you will be bringing your ideas out to the table, really being these like innovators. Okay. A lot is going to be called from you, from your creative mind. A lot of you are very future forward thinkers, you're future focused. And so all of it's paying off, basically. I feel like now a lot of you have been spent most of your lives dreaming and visualizing and imagining and manifesting, especially for the New Earth. And so I see you being like put in some sort of position here where, like you'll have a lot of say over certain decisions. And again, it's going to be different for everyone, obviously, but collectively speaking, this could also be a lot of autonomy within self. Again, like on a smaller scale, it's autonomy within self. And then on a larger scale, it's on a larger scale. So like in the career, in the company, in the whatever, in the public arena, like everyone's going to be in different situations and things, but just know that it's beautiful because it is kind of like you being at the forefront of the change and the shift that's happening, similar to the Piscean energies and the Pisces being at the forefront of Saturn and Pisces, on a shorter scale over the next 3 years is like, here you are, Aquarius, like being very much at the forefront of this whole shift archetypally, if that makes sense. So again, watch your other placements, because all the placements will give you a better idea of how this will manifest in your life. Sun, moon, rising for sure, and you can just apply it to your situation. But I like that a lot. Pluto brings a lot of transformation. So some of you might, you know, and it is in Aquarius, in your sign. So a lot of you will be going, I feel like, yeah, I just see like choosing to walk away. Like some of you are going to choose to walk away from a whole group or community or whatever to follow your dream, to follow your goal. Others of you might go through like physical changes, right? That first house. And something here about like, if you want to be a humanitarian and an environmentalist or something where you're like working in group, I just see you being the leader in some group. I see you becoming a leader of a group of people, like a team leader of some kind. So over the next 20 years. So anyway, Aquarius, I hope you enjoyed that. Pisces, welcome Pisces. So my beautiful Pisces, you have Pluto in Aquarius transiting your 12th house. This is really nice. I feel like there's something here about spiritual teacher. That's what I heard. Spiritual teacher, spiritual healer. A lot of you are going to be at the forefront of the shifts that are taking place when it comes to the spiritual side of things. I see a lot of the Piscean energies being very much involved in the communities and teaching and growing and supporting, right? This is also very much about you and your own journey. So Pluto in that 12th house wants to bring in some sort of transformation. Interesting, because, you know, you had Saturn in your, didn't you guys have Saturn in your 12th house? Oh my God, Pisces, I apologize. You guys had Saturn in your 12th house, I believe, right? And that's brought a lot of shifts and transformations. It's like you're still going to be going through that, but it's not going to be in such an immediate way. I feel like with the Pluto transit is more in the background. So it's like this overarching like theme in our lives. And so for you, I do feel like with the 12 is like you're also very much like Aquarius and similar to Aries, but I feel like for you guys it's different. It's like you're kind of calling in this new beginning energy as well for the collective. Think about it, like how do these collective shifts take place? Well, we're so many of us. We all have different energies, and think about all the people that have Pisces energy in their chart, like activated by some planet, right? We all have all the different energies. It's like all these different beings and individuals are all going to be experiencing this like spiritual awakening. Okay, that's going to trigger the collective. So that's kind of the vibe. It's almost like a lot of you are going to be really part of this like whole movement of spirituality and stuff, which we already know Pisces does that, right? Pisces is this energy of like higher spiritual learning and advancement. I do feel like many of you will be coming out on top over mental health, emotional stuff, spiritual affliction, whatever issues you've been facing. Because Pluto is as tough as Pluto can be and as tough as it is to go through, it does make us bigger, better, and stronger. It makes us so much more like whatever. So to me, this is really also ascension, right? It's ascension, your own journey. So I see there being a very strong focus on you, but also the group and the we, but most importantly, your spirituality, your connection to source, of, you know, restructuring of beliefs, reprogramming of beliefs as well, and just basically experiencing this new earth, like moving to the new earth, and yeah, and being able to like rebuild and offer what you have. We're all offering different things, of course, but this is really nice. Yeah, so definitely watch your other signs, guys, to know more about what you can expect, how this will be playing out in the background, okay, of, you know, your life. But again, this is such a broad transit, you guys. I just wanted to do this for fun and like for added, you know, guidance or whatever. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you enjoyed it or if it was of service to you, please hit the like button, and I will see you guys on the next one.